We're gonna wait for the oh god, you sub-lagged me. Holy shit. Give me 1 second.
Depressed. We love you.
Lead motion. Hold on. Oh, that's too high. Wow, we love the minute. Hi, chat. Hello, how you be? Hi. Thank you for the sub, man. You are quiet. I'm not quiet. The music was too loud. There we go. I fixed it. Thank you, Snoopy. Hi, welcome. Oh, I thought you were giving. Okay, you scared me. Okay, let me adjust my screen and tell why Goods scared me. So, Goods is cleaning the floor because Doggy did poopy steppies.
Shit.
I wasn't. Okay. The dog stepped on blueberries, and I thought it was shit. And she's like, "Oh, look at these!" And I literally thought she was handing me like a ball of like dog poop. I'm like, "What the fuck?" But no, it's fine. It's not shit. It's not shit. It's fine. It's not shit. Oh yeah. I broke a plate with my foot. I don't know how. I was vibing. I hit something. And then I heard a big crack. And I looked at the floor and just blueberries everywhere. And like a plate that's broken. No idea how it happened. But yeah, hi. Say hi, chat. Hi. Yes, I upgraded my Nova. Not really an upgrade. A side grade. I'm using more eye tracking. I'm using hand tracking now on desktop, so we look fancy. Look at you. We look fancy. And Goose is cleaning. I have a maid now cleaning the house for me. Holy shit, I feel nice. But today, chat, we gonna play a game. Let me up a bit, and I joined the server. Yes. We're gonna play a game with Bardic and the people from the Start Select Pause because they're amazing and I feel lonely, okay? Yes, you gotta drive. Now you love just because you've been evil. Love just hates me. No DMs, nothing. Doesn't touch me anymore. I'm sad. Anyway.
Did you wash your ass today?
How? LJ, do you know? Okay, LJ,
Hi, you
LJ.
little stinker. Red heart emoji.
LJ, hi. You're staring at LJ? Goods is staring at you, by the way. Goods is, imagine, okay, this is me. And now Goods is like over there, like in the middle of nowhere. He's staring, look at that. Wow, how dare you. Anyway, LJ, and did you know that I'm mad? I'm very mad. You know why? I know why I'm zooming so much. I like zooming. Zooming is nice. Look, whoa. I'm mad. I made a new friend, right? Remember Wolfie? The slime person, Goods? I was like, yay, new friend, nice. And then Kira.
Yeah, I know.
And then Kira and Rylot happened. And now she's fucking my friends. I hate this so much. In art piece. Not real. Fake. But it's fake. But still, they can't have anything nice, man. Swear to God. I swear to God. I say LJ, exactly. LJ is the only... You fucking traitor. No more fucking. No one bangs each other anymore. I am banning, you know what? /ban fucking. There we go. I just banned fucking from no more fucking allowed here. I'm sorry if your account is fucking. I'm sorry. I don't know who you are, but you're not banned.
LJ, we need to totally get it set up to get it right now.
I'm leaving. Sex is not allowed now. Only sometimes. Only to make other people. You cannot have sex anymore. I'm sorry. No fucking.
LJ, we should fuck.
I'm not mad. I'm joking, but fuck me, man. It's so annoying. I meet a new person and suddenly everyone's banging and I'm just in the corner like, can we? I'm like, you know what I need? Okay, you know what I need? I need an art piece with everyone I know and everyone's fucking and I'm like in a corner holding a Monopoly like board. I'm like, can we play after? I'm like on the corner like I brought Monopoly. Like, god damn it.
Listen, I'm glad I'm cool.
Anyway, I'm gonna join the server chat meanwhile, because there's like people here. Look at that, there's a people. There's a people. Are you a people? Bardic hates me, chat. He doesn't reply to me anymore. Wait, I know how to get his attention.
Oh, that's awful.
Hi.
That's awful. You didn't need
Did
to
you
play
wash
it as
your
well.
ass today?
Like, I went first. Like, Jesus.
No, I saw it first. It's mine.
You already
wow.
you played it once.
I have
Pregnant.
Oh.
I think my dog is pregnant.
Wow. If your dog is pregnant, I know to blame. Oh, did I hear my send sounds? Oh, I got chills. Holy shit. It's been a while. You know Skype is shutting down.
It's already shut down.
Yeah,
Dead.
it's gone. Skype is gone.
Yeah.
07 shut.
RIP.
07 for Skype. RIP.
RIP.
No more
Hi,
grooming.
Gaylord. How you doing?
No more grooming. Sadly.
Okay. You heard Snowy say that, chat.
Yeah, like, when are we gonna do it now? Like, what the fuck? I'm joking.
But could you do a last to leave VC for $10,000? As
For
in
$10,000, I'll be.
whoever gets who. So are you giving me $10,000? Because if so, then
Bardik, join the chat. Can we touch chat? Excuse me, this is rigged. I didn't leave.
See, I won.
I haven't
I won.
No. Oh yeah, can we
You
split?
left the call. You were no longer in the call. You had left. All right. Give me
take
$10,000.
I take two. Did you shoot me? What the fuck?
Listen, don't worry. I'll split it with you. Okay.
Okay, but join your touch chat. Come on.
What? Oh yeah, I've got to. I
gotta
was
touch
waiting for
chats.
you to join the call, and then I forgot to press join.
There you go. I sent an invite.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh my god,
Right.
chat. Say hi to other chats.
All right. Let's make fun of them. Bardic, don't leave. I need someone to talk over my college professor.
Yeah, exclamation point. There we go.
Yes,
Exclamation point.
balls.
Exclamation point. GG. Whoa, so many commands we have. That's.
Can we get exclamation mark third dad in chat, please? Can we get some third dads in chat?
What is that?
Exclamation mark third dad. All right, yeah, the better code. Third dad is the better code. Thank you.
I still like mine more.
Mine
How
is
you
better,
been? I'm
though.
super
Yours
tired,
is just
by the
your
way.
name. Mine is so fucking funny. Grow up.
Mine used to be 4. I should change it again. It
Why
was
did
better.
you give it up?
I don't know. I was like, maybe it's too much.
Also, third dad is still funnier than 4 because I can market third dad better than 4. Also, I saw Bardic at TFF. That was neato. Hello.
No, his code has a 0.1% higher sale. Yes, more sale.
No, he's good.
I won.
Wait, do you? How do you see? How are you seeing that?
I don't know. I have 10%. I have 10.1. I don't. I think they're fucking with you.
Oh, right. Discount, right? Sorry, I thought you meant sales, as in like you make more money. And I was like, you want to play this game?
I don't even check the dashboard. I don't care. It's not. It's not enough
have
for me
you
to
cashed
care.
Out? When was
Probably.
the last time you cashed out?
I think it's automatic. I just get money randomly.
No, you. Oh, do you? I have to ask.
I think so. Let me check. I don't know.
Check your fucking dashboard.
Oh.
This is when we find out that this motherfucker's got $10,000, and I'm gonna be like, I would like. Did you just check?
I need to DM gamers.
Did you just hold up? How much?
That's not too much. It's like $200.
Oh, $200. Okay.
Yeah, because I think they cash out sometimes, but I wasn't.
Okay.
I don't care about this.
You can check the system. Like it says like the whole thing on it. But yeah.
Can you do like a filter for like everything? Let's see, analytics.
You just click. Yeah, you go through. There's different options and stuff. We're not allowed to show. We're literally legally not allowed to show you this page, chat.
Are we not? That's fine.
Also, you could probably dox yourself if you did that. Pixel D.
It's fine. I don't live in the same place anymore. Speaking about that, I need to change all my addresses. That's gonna be fun.
We got a raid.
Oh my god! Hi, other raiders.
Hi, other raiders. How are you doing? Yeah, you click analytics and it should say.
Did you know that my stream has no ads? I'm joking. Do you want to just play the thing, or like do you wait a little bit?
What was that? Fucking, there's so much going on. What happened? Lance Gravewin, thank you very much for the thing. Jay Wolf, thank you for the follow. Oh my god, I'm losing my shit. What did you say?
It looks like you're not a professional streamer. Do you want to play the thing or do you wait a little bit?
Oh, the start select pause thing.
Yeah, the drive beyond the thingy. Or do you want to wait for more people?
I
don't know if they can join mid thingy. I know.
Well, Zelda
never
just joined the
tested.
call, so
hi.
and didn't like Bandit say that they were interested?
Oh, never mind. We can't play anymore now. I don't like Zelda.
Wow.
I don't know. I invited and then I really like just read the chat before starting. Let me see. Someone. Where are we driving?
I
Bandit
say
seems
7 minutes. Autistic gamer, long time no see. How you doing?
Why are you gonna go in 7 minutes? No, a lot in 7 minutes.
That's it. That can go twice in 7 minutes, knowing you.
What? I wish.
By the way, chat, Snowy sent a dick pic in our group chat the other day.
Did I?
Just out of nowhere.
No, that was
just
not...
taking a shit and then sent like shaft.
Okay, I don't say again. I was taking a shit and they were talking, and I was like, you know what? I'm at work, and I just to take a picture, and my arm looked like a penis. Okay, I don't know. My dick is not that huge. My dick. I wish it was a dick pic. Actually, it was. It would be nice.
Very long but very skinny.
I sent. They were talking, and I just sent this because I was taking a shit on the company time, and it looks like a pee-pee, but it's just fine. Don't worry.
Nothing again. Classic early 2000s window frame for us on the site. Yes, it is.
Hi man. So
hi man. Might not like to say hi to your chat.
No, I'm sorry.
Let's change chat for like a minute.
Okay.
I just realized. I have Zelda muted still?
You probably have me muted still.
No, I don't. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
He's just shy.
I did have Snowy muted still.
But why did you do yesterday? You did something nice. Okay, wait. I need to do this with your chat. I never done it with your chat. So I used to do a thing with my chat, which is you need to tell me something positive that happened to you or that you did yesterday, but at the end of the sentence, add this emote, the Sedge.
Sedge?
Yeah, it's funny. My chat can do it too, so it not exclude.
Guest members, yes.
If it's negative, very negative, just do the opposite. Do like Omegalol or something.
My mom died.
My mom died, Lamau.
I fucked your mom last night.
I hate a good kebab today, man.
I found a geocache sad. Oh god, geocaching's great. I need to do that again.
Is it? Just like finding random shit.
Gotta look on mobile. Enjoy. Snowy, I didn't know like 60% of people on Twitch watch on mobile. What the fuck?
Mobile is a big fucking mobile is literally the biggest gaming like market portion of the world.
I am so bewildered by that just because it's like how
it's because people it's because people think too much about the West only, and they forget that the rest of the world is like a bajillion other people.
I'm just bewildered. Like, I thought that people would be like on a laptop more likely, and I don't know.
No, because
it's a long haul thing. Like,
no, because here's my take. A shitty laptop is very shitty, but for the same price you can get like an average decent phone, and you can watch way better on that.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, if you don't have a lot of money, there's one of two laptops you should buy used. And that is either a Lenovo ThinkPad or a MacBook. Because you can buy
chat. I have a MacBook M1, literally the first one. I'm not gonna upgrade ever. It's so fucking good. Trust me, it's a really good laptop.
So fucking good.
Not if you're a gamer, but for anything else, Jesus. Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Like a decent laptop. I say decent, but like, when you actually get into actual SSDs and actual RAM, is somewhere between like 400 and 600 is where you start getting entry level shit. You can get an M1 MacBook Air for like 300 used. That shit
insanely that is insanely good value. Yeah. Even a new one isn't it like sub 1K now if you have like add the user discount or whatever. I think you can. I think you can add the student thing. It's a really good deal.
I think they don't give you discount anymore. I think they just give you an extra 100 of Apple Store credit.
Wow. Oh yeah, that's useless.
Which, depending on like what you want, yeah, 10% off, or you get 100. Like, to be fair, if you're paying for like iCloud or like you're trying to get
It's fair.
AirPods or something, then it's kind of
I did the cardinal sin. I bought the extra storage on iCloud because I was so pissed off at this. I know this is marketing and it works. They keep the stupid notification until you pay for the like an iPhone backup. Oh, you only have 5 gigabytes. It doesn't fit anymore. I'm like, fuck off. And then you can't take it off, but yeah, you can, but it comes on the next day, and I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah.
They're targeting people with OCD. I don't like this.
So, you can actually get a brand new M3 MacBook Air for $679 refurbished by Apple themselves on their refurb website right now.
Should be sponsored by them.
An M4 Mac Mini for $509. Like, honestly, Apple's like refurb section really good. I can't fault it. No, really. Sorry for the day. Hi, Pixel. What were you streaming? You just got out of VR. Okay, so VR shit. What the fuck?
Sorry for the delay. No, fuck you. You should have been here earlier.
Yeah. Your donations are dog shit, so I'm giving you $1 on PP.
Oh my god, the floor is clean. Alright, I'm opening the game. Fuck it. Let's go.
Alright, let's go.
Lolly, let's solve. Sure, we're gonna drive. This is... I never played this game with more than 2 people. And it's gonna be interesting. If you guys are not cooperative...
This is what we find out. We can't.
The team may only last till today. Drive.
I have an iPad Pro with M2. This thing is good, but goddamn, I hate their file manager. Yeah, I agree with that. One thing I really hate about iPads is that they have the power and performance to be a laptop, but they don't have a desktop UI. So it's really hard to like actually use it like a laptop. But
you know why?
So good.
It's because if they release macOS on the iPad, they'll kill the MacBooks.
To a point, I disagree. I think that they don't need to make it a desktop. I think that they just need to make it where you can, on iPad, use desktop apps. So, like, if you download something, you can essentially run it, not as an emulator, because it's still the... macOS and iPadOS are essentially the same operating system. It's confusing. I'm not getting fully into it, but yeah. I don't need to be autistic about this right now.
Well, actually, the macOS... This is how you sound like.
They're all right. They're essentially fuck off. It's like how Android is fucking Linux, all right? Shut the fuck up. I'm currently watching on the MacBook Air with the M1 chip. I've got one with the M2, and I love it. Also, 21... Does anyone use Adobe Premiere Pro in chat?
No, I dropped them. I switched to DaVinci.
Same. I exported my Virality video using DaVinci Resolve today. That video would have taken probably like 5 minutes to export using Premiere Pro.
Oh yeah, Premiere on a M is really fucking insane. Okay, invite to game. Yeah, I think I can invite you guys directly.
All right.
I'm just gonna
wait for my controller to connect a sec.
I'm just gonna mute the volume, blah blah blah. Still see his microphone. I should be fine. Whoa, naked. 85 review. Thank you. It donated $1, and that's like just like 84 cents, and then plus fees. That's basically nothing. Nice waste. You can keep that and like buy a soda or something. It was way better.
All right. Game capture. Horizons.
Starting guide is always the same. I'm gonna just start picking stuff up.
Oh crap! I just realized I was like, my fucking controller is connected to.
They updated the light. This is so much better. You can see actually in here now. People can be a bit buggy.
Forgot to do this.
Hello.
All right. Hello. Are you running in DirectX 11 or 12?
A nice purple shirt.
12. Just make sure you guys have like a push to talk or something, or just deselect your microphone from the game. I don't know. The microphone game sucks ass.
Yeah, my microphone is turned off.
All right, so I'm gonna clean the car a little bit. It takes a little bit longer to start on this one track
and see what happens then. Because
Stay with me, chat.
I
Okay,
want
recording.
the newer engine, chat. I want the newer game engine.
Hey, it's,
I want the good crashy one. What is that?
I'm
This is
surprised
my
people
car,
still
it's my
use
colors.
DirectX. I'm not gonna lie.
just ridiculous.
Zelda, we talked a lot. How are you?
I'm
Oh, yeah.
good. I'm good.
That's kind of relevant.
I
listen,
love
it's
how
okay.
this looks like a janky version of Forza Horizon. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I wasn't saying anything.
This is Forza Horizon. What do you mean?
I'm just mumbling. to
It's a new
myself over
update.
here.
Is this like the long drive? Yeah, but tiny better, a little bit better. Engine oil, okay. Petrol, diesel, engine oil. Plug.
It's much better in the sense that you can actually do multiplayer pretty easily.
Yeah, you can. It's actually playable. Ish.
So, how do
petrol
I
in
use
the
my
water?
controller? B, how do I fucking...
Oh, you're on your own. I don't know.
How do I join you, you fucking fuck?
I invited you.
Liar.
Come on, Bardik. It's like you don't know how games work.
Shut the fuck off, Gaylord.
I'm putting some drinks in the trunk.
Where's the water?
Very-
Am I
very
stupid?
pitch
Petrol,
black.
petrol,
Going
petrol.
Drunk? Wow. Am I drunk? What am I saying?
Is this
If
car
I
petrol?
crash, I'll cry.
It is petrol.
Oh.
Let me just fill it up.
Also, did you watch the new GTA trailer?
I saw it and I ignored it because I can't be bothered anymore. It's been a lot of
It
years.
looks so boring. I'm not gonna
I'll
lie.
just- I'll just
I
wait.
was like, what is this story, man?
Oh shit, I think I'm draining this. I'm pretty sure this is gonna, like, GTA Online it. I don't care about the story anymore. I mean, after GTA 5 Online made $1 billion, I'm pretty sure they're gonna invest in online again.
Yeah.
Literally
They're
$1
probably
billion,
not
I
gonna have
think.
it out for like a few weeks, I imagine. They'll
I
be
am
like, "Oh,
really
yeah,
actually,
we're-
I am really curious to see how they're gonna handle the transition. This is gonna be really hard.
How do I
Like,
punch you in the
are they gonna
corner?
delete GTA 5? There's a lot of content there.
No.
You can punch,
no,
press
no.
press tab, and you can punch stuff.
Flight to get to the other area.
All right, how do I drive?
It's a time
Ow! How do
machine.
I punch? This is rude.
I'm not telling you. You're gonna punch me.
I'm peeing.
Oh yeah,
I can
P's for
pee.
P. P's for.
You
Don't pee
gotta-
on the
you gotta
car.
pee.
I can't pee again.
1, 2, 3. Don't pee on the radiator. What the fuck? You're gonna ruin
Okay,
everything.
Teach me how to punch.
I don't want to teach you how to punch. You're gonna.
Here's the teddy
you're gonna.
bear. Here, just cheer up.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheer
Just
up. Stop
you grab the
stop-
teddy bear
stop
and go
being
to a
so
corner.
angry.
Yeah.
There you go. That's right there. I put it right there for you. It's on the chair.
Okay, battery.
You are freaking out
Water.
right there. Bart's gone to pee. You know what?
We don't
I-
have water.
could've-
I'm gonna take
Why
this.
are
Hold
all
on.
the controls fucked? All right.
Because that's the name of the game.
Hey, don't tell anyone it doesn't have water. Oh my god, he's gonna murder us all. Oh god.
How do I?
Don't rev it.
Go?
Oh.
Oh, we're screwed. Can you like not live without us?
I'm just
Peeing
going
on
around.
you
I'm
as you
getting
drive by.
used.
The radiator doesn't have water. Stop moving. There we go. I'm filling up the water. Oh my god.
Close the fucking.
Oh wait. I
Why
found
is there
something
no
really
horn?
Important that we need right here.
You gotta
Why
grab
is
the
the horn
horn.
broken?
Because he doesn't have a horn. Okay, don't move. I opened the
Yeah, we don't have
radiator.
a
Hold
horn
on.
yet.
Oh, there are lights.
We gotta build a car. Do you know how cars
We
work,
gotta
Bartek?
find the pieces.
I don't know. Of course I
Okay. Don't rev it! Oh my god. Stop. Stop.
We're
Stop.
gonna
Stop.
die.
Stop. Let me put water. Hold
We're
on.
gonna die before we even get out of here.
There we go. Let me just put this over here.
All right.
Well,
we good. We got enough.
I could make it so we all die right now. Real easy.
Oh, did you get the rocket
oh
launcher?
my god.
I got one of these.
What?
Well,
It has
then.
infinite ammo.
It's okay. Yeah, there's more bits and pieces, and we also need. I think there's like a license plate here. No, it used to be. This is gonna go so well. So wait, are you starting to drive first?
Yeah, I'll drive first.
Do you know like which side to go?
You can be the GPS.
All right. Let me just put the car back.
Grab a rocket launcher for each of us. You know, they're just hanging in right here on the inside of the garage
I
door.
think the car is more important first. Okay, hold on, stop
I'll
moving. I have a
Well,
dog.
I mean, yeah, that's.
I'm
that's
bringing it
also
to the
important.
garage. You told me like to stop being a shit.
Petrol.
Maybe I should
Turn
Oh yeah,
the
there is
car off,
a
open that trunk.
thingy for each.
Okay, so how do I... There we go. I know how to drive.
Shh.
There we are.
Ah! I lost my rocket launcher.
I got another one.
Son of a
We're
bitch.
good.
I double clicked.
Okay, it's enough. It's enough.
Oh, that's enough, is it? That's
Yeah.
enough?
We
For
got
now,
two
for now.
rockets. Yeah, just-
Listen.
I thought I was driving first.
No, I'm driving because I need to teach you.
No.
You don't have a license yet. Perfect. Thank you so much. I love that.
You're welcome.
I needed it. Can you put more petrol on my face so I can drive better? No, put it back.
No.
But we need the hood. Oh, is it extra cooling?
It's better cooling.
Yeah, it's extra
cooling.
cooling. I'm pretty sure it's worse if you take it off. Okay, let me.
Let me go
Oh,
grab
God.
a drink of water from the back.
I mean, I'm trying to put the gas tank.
All right, boys, open because the music is like very sexy right now.
I drank
Did you drink?
alcohol?
I did drink.
This is alcohol?
Did you just get drunk?
It just said that
Already?
it was alcohol. That's...
Hi.
it's drunk piss? This is pee.
Oh, there
Stop drinking pee. Just get it. It'll drop the barrel. We don't need the barrel. It's fine.
Alright.
You like the sex music?
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna wash our.
Hold on, the car isn't moving. In 1 second. You guys are heavy.
Can't see much with them tits in the way.
We all look the same. We
where's-
should probably like.
Where's Zelda?
Huh? It's behind you.
Oh, I can't see you.
Yeah, there's definitely some desync when you're not. Oh my God, you're in the ground for me. You're just underground.
Something's
Make my way
leaking.
then. Alright.
Something's.
yeah,
Wait, hold on.
slow
We
down,
already
slow
fucked
down.
it.
We got
Hold on.
gotta.
Oh,
I
don't
got it,
leave
I
it,
got it.
sounds.
I'm good.
Don't leave. Oh, I forgot to close the water. It's fine. It fixed now. Oh, okay,
alright.
sure. Chinese fire drill. Let's go.
I just
Bye,
took the chair
Zelda.
anyway. I took the seat instead of getting in.
Oh.
it.
Get back in. Alright.
Okay. Oh, there we
So,
go.
Snowy, you get the aux cable. Give us some.
Yeah, I'm searching. Hold on.
Oh wait, can you
Hyperbuss
actually?
ready.
There's actually a radio station. Shit.
Yeah, I can also like steal your
I
shit
was-
if you want to.
Steal my shit? What do you
Hey,
mean?
Bardik.
Yeah. I'm just that good.
Damn, that's this nice drift, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can press C, by the way, to go into third person. To see
Bardik,
that we're not on the road right now.
I took your seatbelt off.
Something is also like that's weird.
So, did you not see the giant like building there? We should stop to like get resources.
I don't know.
Yeah,
the point
just
of
keep
this
this.
game.
Oh, you're gonna go back? Okay, fuck it. Let's go.
You made a complaint.
You see the giant green building right there?
All right, hit the brake.
Oh yeah, fuck. Did it work?
So,
Oh, I like this radio
are
station.
you guys actually somewhere, or were you just upside down in the middle of the desert right now?
Oh no, we're somewhere. I'm in the green
That's
thingy.
somewhere.
Do you wanna like join again,
Okay,
maybe?
I'm You guys flipped the car and we're upside down in the middle of the desert. Right
No.
now.
Oh no, that's not.
No, we're
what
not
happened.
there.
Oh hey, when you got out of
Oh,
the
shit,
car,
yeah.
it teleported me here, and we're at that location.
Ooh, new
Congratulations.
car. Oh, it's a two-seater
outfits?
though.
I mean, we could just take it. Why not?
I mean, there's a new a different battery.
Oh, it's Jalix themed.
I mean, it's kind of cool. Yeah, there's a lot of
I mean-
petrol. I mean, we can
we
slap
not
a
just
seat.
stick
Wait,
a
wait,
car-
hold on.
Can we
Yeah, you
slap
can
seats
slip-
on the bag?
Oh no, it has a seat. No, I think it has a seat. Hold on, let me just. Can you hold this door for me? Oh shit!
Oh my.
Fuck! Hold on. Shit! Oh god damn it! No, hold this. For a bit.
You're so. Hang on. I'm trying.
No, he has a back seat. We can put a seat. You know what? Let me drive the car here. Let me drive the car. Why did you park the car so far away?
I got us a rack. I got us a
Yeah.
rack.
You saw where I parked.
So far away.
We now have infinite.
You left the
storage.
car and the radio on. Oh my god.
Always some fucking complaint with this one.
The battery.
Hi,
Why you
Ruffy.
run-
Strap Zal to the hood. That
back
would be
here.
fucking funny.
No. We're switching cars. Don't worry. It's fine.
Wait. Oh, we're switching.
You gotta
cars
run back.
now.
Yeah. That car's better.
I don't know what this goes on.
Anywhere. All right. I'm switching the engines. Move. Perfect.
Oh hell yeah! We
This is
can. I'm
very
guessing
delicate.
We can link this up. Can we like link this to the? car?
I think you need. Okay, this battery is better. I think you need a hook thingy. Wait, I need the pedals. Not the seats. I need the handbrake. Can't forget anything, otherwise we're screwed.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a good. Yeah. Oh, there's a good handbrake. Okay.
Big titty pro. Why am I taking?
Bardik, why are you wasting L or what?
No, I didn't. That was you.
God damn
I
it.
didn't press the wrong button. Shut up.
Okay, ignition.
I'm too scared to click this.
Did it have an ignition already? Oh, it's a. Oh my god, Bardik, it's a UK car. I just realized.
Nice. I can. Yeah, nice. I can drive it. If I could drive.
You can actually drive this one legally. Okay, fuck, I hate UK cars.
All right.
Come on, attach. I gotta go around. God damn it.
So there's other seats in the back now. Or...
I mean, the car had more seats, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, why not?
You can just detach.
Wait,
oh shit.
Am I
You can just-
sleeping? Ooh,
No, you
Oop,
can just
no.
detach this seat and put
how
it
do I- how the
like.
fuck do I get out? Like, Jesus Christ.
There you go. There's your
I'm not used
shitty
to
seat.
this.
And
Detach.
then.
Oh, that no, that's that.
And then
Ignore what I
there's
just did.
I think
Take.
Zelda's seat can be there. Can it not? No, it can't. You're gonna have to sit on the ceiling. It's fine. Don't worry.
It'll be fine.
It's gonna be. It's the best, it's gonna be the most fun part.
Just hold on. I don't even know if this car is better, actually. Okay, another pedal and another pedal. Be fine.
A sponge. Good to clean all that pee up with.
Alright, boys, let me test
Alright.
it. Let's see.
It's the Chalix car.
Hey, it works.
It's fine. It's fine.
Fuck, we just need the lights because we have to see.
All right. Don't explode it. No
They
promises.
want to explode. That's fine.
Hi, Asia.
What else do we need?
Wolf.
How
I
are you doing,
need.
my
Sorry,
sweet
chat. I'm
dog?
focused. I'm like Britishing the car.
I'm gonna open up
That-
my Twitch chat overlay app so I can see it at this on the same game.
Honestly, that'll be
Let me
nice.
Help you with that front. Oh, there isn't a front windshield.
We can put it. Come on, attach. We need the radio. Hold on, I'm gonna do something crazy.
Wait, no, listen. Zelda sings, I sing. You
There
can
you go.
try. We're fine. Making my way downtown. walking fast, homebound. If
Okay,
I
this
could
load.
go
Oh, perfect.
into the sky, do you think time would pass me by?
Wow.
But you
By the
are
way,
gone.
we need to like eat and drink, so we gotta go inside here see if there's anything we can take.
There's a
Because I am
sandwich on top.
starving. I'm like I need the drink. Oh, there I found one. It's a Coke.
Oh, I gotta pee. How do I pee?
E. Read this and food. There's like food
I don't
everywhere,
know
so
where
it's
I'm
fine.
peeing, but I certainly am.
Anything interesting here? Not really.
Just
How about...
see you tonight.
Cause tonight is the night I'm going for.
All for you.
Bardik, are you ready
we
for
almost
this?
didn't have a shifter.
I got a first.
We would have
aid
been
kit.
in trouble.
Oh shit, yeah. Bardik, ready for this?
I
So-
found it.
You ready for this?
What is this?
Let's go!
Let's go!
Someone play Carl Meldenson. Bam, 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 bam. Do you need anything else?
What are you talking about, Robbie? What the fuck? What is this? Why have I got?
We should also pick up this.
Oh, it's neon lights. Put it on the back. It's neon lights. They're
how do I
really
put it
good.
down.
It's under the car. Under the car near neon lights on the side.
Like
On the side and on the back. Like under the
It's
car,
not-
like here.
It's not giving me like a click. Oh, I did.
Yeah,
briefly.
yeah.
Where
Right
is
there, right there, right there.
Yeah,
There we
got
go.
All right.
Why, what else? What is this? We don't want this. It's fine. We could try attaching, but I don't think it's... Yeah. Alright. Do you want to drive again? Or...
Yeah, I mean, it's the UK car.
That's true. I don't know how to drive
like
this.
I
Oh
should.
my god, look at it. It's a... Get in. This is amazing.
What was that?
We're waiting for you.
Okay.
Hey,
hang on.
come back up to this thing so you can hook this baby up. And we get a
Can you
trailer,
though?
too.
Wait, hold on.
That's how,
Let me try.
That's how you
You can.
eat beans in this game. They're soda.
I don't think that's a good idea. I find a bigger car. We'll try. We did the party bus last time though.
All right, I'm coming.
Can you like
I'm
attach
coming.
it? See if it works.
Attach what?
You should be able
The
to, it should say
thing.
T to put it on. Oh, I found the actual brake light for this thing.
E?
I mean, what if I just leave?
But like, hold on. It doesn't say T. Can you like align the... Oh, wait. No, detach. I don't think you
I think you
can.
do it from the front
It's
seat.
got a
I think you do
tank.
it from the. You do it while in the driver's seat.
If
Oh,
Bardic
no,
and
I'm
JT
saying,
sing
the
together, it'd be
Bardic, do you have
fucking
a,
awesome.
do you have a, do you have a the attach thingy?
Attach what?
Press
Do you have an
T.
attach button?
My chat. is
Maybe we need a
annoying.
better bumper.
I mean, what if I get out and then get back in as well? Maybe that.
No! You took his other seat!
Yeah, that's fine. All right, are we good to go?
I don't
Well,
think
let
this
him
has
sit.
the thing to attach. So yeah, I'm here. Let's go.
Well, but this is totally gonna go well.
This is gonna go perfectly
This
fine.
is
There's nothing to
fine,
worry
man.
about.
Saldar is doing perfectly fine up there.
Oh, I think it's
looking.
faster actually.
I'm on the
Holy
crow's
shit.
nest.
Yeah, it is.
Room mounted. Get the gun.
Is there a
Nope,
boost?
I've teleported further back in the car. I don't know how long this is gonna last.
Just scooch forward, like scooch
We
forward.
love the lag.
I
We
am,
love
but
the
it's
difference
making me
between
I
Europe
think we're
and
gonna, I think we're gonna lose
the
him.
West Coast.
You're fine. It's all fine.
We're gonna lose
It's
him.
I'm not gonna crash. It's fine.
good. Nope. Goodbye.
But like, weren't you like gonna drink or something? I don't think you should be driving. Oh, we lost him.
What do you mean?
So, good to live playing The Sims. So I have an idea. Sit on my lap. Right. Go on the side and sit on my lap. Does it work?
Did you know?
Does it work?
It doesn't
Alvin?
work. I don't think it works.
Let me see.
Welcome
No.
to Jackass, but it's on a game.
No, no.
Nope.
Can't you like sit on the
Let's
seat?
see.
Is the seat not like seatable?
No, because it's not.
You need like a thing to attach. Yeah. Just come on. Right, like getting stuck on the front.
We got a building just up
How about
ahead,
this?
so
How about
we
this?
can
If you
get-
There we
open
go.
this
Just-
and you go, oh, What? okay, just go over here, like in the middle of this. See if it works.
Okay.
How about if I do this right now? And now
Yeah.
this. Oh, you ran too
Wait,
much.
Wait.
Wait,
Oh,
come on. This is how it works in real life. You just wedge your
This is-
friend
this
into
is
the engine.
time.
There we go.
Here
All
we
right,
go.
right now. I don't know. I don't think. Does it
That's
work?
not gonna work at all.
Oh well.
It's okay. We'll get
Okay, does
there.
it stop there? Maybe there's like. Oh my god.
How do I fix this?
I don't
you
know.
don't?
I'm stronger than I look. Sorry.
Oh wait, that we can click. Wait, hold on. There we go. N. Press N. Can you leave, Bardic?
N?
There's an
Wow,
N.
I was invited here.
but I think it's glitching. Oh,
Ah!
there we go.
Okay.
I was driving peacefully when
Right, drive to the next station. Just go slower. Good. They want you to stream Minecraft goods.
Yeah.
Wow, hold on.
Be it, I guess. They had a sign with your name
Just go slowly. There's a stop there. Maybe we can find a seat or just another car.
on the tinfoil hat when you
You know what, Zelda? Just walk. It's right there. It's fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll meet you.
Yeah,
there.
you're
You're
fine.
fine. You're fine.
You can drop me and oh, the hood left. We broke the hood.
Nice.
Drop me here and then go pick him
I'll
up.
grab it. I'll grab the hood. I'll bring it.
Yeah, just drop it here. Oh, is that a van? Oh, it's a pedo van. It's a kid. I wanna.
We're so.
It's fine. Close the door then. Oh my god, look at. Okay, that's an. I didn't know that was an option.
Listen, I look for the best ways to do anything. All right.
Oh, that is cool.
Shagwagon. Oh hell
Can
yeah!
I? Can I?
there's-
Oh, there's a
there's
multiple
a
seats even. Look
seat.
at that. That's not. Okay, good job.
It does it work?
There's a lot of things here. I'm gonna search inside. Oh, there's a
What fuel's in it?
machine. We're gonna have to use. Oh, this is
Right.
alcohol. Fuck, I don't want alcohol. We're gonna have to.
What? Oh,
It's
okay.
100% petrol.
Yeah, petrol is fine. I think we're using petrol.
Yeah, we're a petrol engine. I just
Barlik,
pulled the running engine.
since we
Yes.
don't have a
Out of the
horn,
car.
I got you something.
Is it a horn?
Look. Yeah, look.
A bell!
It's
I'm
a
so happy.
horn.
Get out of my way! I'm playing Minecraft.
Wait, I don't think we need all the seats, right? I'm putting too many seats. Get out
I
of my
can you detach the one
room.
that's on there?
Take the other rack off the top. We already got this one loaded.
Yeah.
Walk it.
Damn.
Oh god. Okay.
We love making
Yeah.
life easier for us.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4.
I wish that we had like another engine so we could.
Listen, we gotta start somewhere, okay? We can't have like the best engine yet.
Oh, we'll find another engine.
It's
Yeah, but it'd just be
incremental.
funny to have like 2 cars.
That's with the network issues. Good luck. Fuck. I need the party finger. I'm gonna put it on
Alright.
the tip right here.
Well, it already.
Why
has,
is the
like,
car
so never
revving?
mind.
Oh, I put a battery. Okay. Makes sense. Light. Light's good.
Oh yeah, the light that's in the car is compatible. Like it's the
Ah.
actual like.
Every light is
circle one.
compatible.
Nice. Well, no, I mean.
There you go. See?
Circle.
We can't need the tire. The tire is good.
There we are. There's a nice
Ooh.
little window, I guess.
Wait, did we put the radiator? There's a better radiator
This is great.
somewhere. Yeah, right here. There's a 10 liter. Big boy.
Rush B. My God.
The peace
Idea.
van! Where's the radiator on the peace van? I'm not a mechanic. I need help. Oh, there you go.
Alright, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
I'm gonna go shopping.
Can you
while
drop
they
the
do this.
water on
I'm
the other
also
one?
gonna just pee while I'm walking around the shop. Just gonna
Oh
squat
shit,
and
shit,
piss.
shit. No, hold on. Fuck. Oh,
I'll make it
oh, okay.
piss chat.
God damn it!
Piss van. Piss van.
Whoa,
What happened?
I just Gmodded myself.
What do you mean Gmodded? What? Where are you?
I'm flying.
Look up. Just look up.
How do I don't think I'm
Are
gonna
you
survive
still going
this.
up or are you
I think
coming
there's a-
down?
Isn't it M?
Well, I'm going down. Help? Can you like hold me or something? Like help?
Sure.
Oh,
You're good.
Okay. Oh, it worked.
Did you live?
Yeah. It what the fuck? We don't need a car. We have an airplane now.
There's beer. Oh my God, bubbles! Jesus.
Just in
Okay,
case
smash
we
shipping
wanna get-
down banner. Bubbles, how you be? It's been so long, man.
I was gonna say.
I need
Bubbles
to
hasn't
ignore.
been
I
in-
need to.
like,
I need to ignore
Bubbles
you
hasn't
less.
said hi to me in years. There's a bag. I'm
Bubbles
wearing a
is.
bag now, I can
Listen,
carry shit.
Bubbles is very popular. Okay. True story,
The
chat. We
popular
invited Bubbles for the
Bubbles.
stream and for the team, right? And he was like, "What you think
Yeah,
I am?"
Gold plate. Gold plate with eggs and bacon. What the fuck?
Fuck.
Why is this a thing?
I am. Do we have like? Do you have
put it on
pedals?
the car, just like this shark fin I found.
Where can I put it on here?
I'm doing a run test. Okay, handbrake works. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
This is to make us go faster.
Oh, I can attach.
I know that he hits it live. Bubbles is amazing. Okay, I don't have. I don't seem to have. I don't seem to have a gas pedal. Do we have a gas pedal?
We'll have it from the other car.
Oh, I think it's the. No, it's a shifter. It's a shifter. It's a shifter. Yeah, there you go.
All right. I have a backpack. So would anyone like?
Something is very wrong.
Oh, what? You can't carry food in the backpack? That's dumb.
Yeah,
You can.
You can put everything in there.
Oh, you have to equip it first. That's also dumb.
Something is wrong. The thing doesn't move. Help. What are we missing?
Okay. I'm on my way. Drink all the beer. No, I'm good.
Like shifter.
Right. You're not in the driver's seat.
No, not that. Oh, I'm stupid. It's a fucking UK car. The shifter's on the... Okay, I forgot the pedals. It's on the other side. God damn UK cars. Right now.
No.
Wait, no, that's not a gas pedal. Hold on, 1 second. Is that how mechanics work, right?
Who's drinking or pissing?
Oh, there you go. Try now. Hey. This is amazing. Oh, you had a taxi? Hi, Mr. Burger. Chat, if I ignore you, I'm sorry. Collab streams are hard to...
I'm revving, but it's not going.
I found the Spanish flag. I'm gonna put the Spanish flag on top.
Is there a reason we're not going?
Spanish flag.
Okay, it's not.
Okay, something is bonking. Wait, are you not going? You should be able to go.
So there are a couple vehicles.
Is this stuff in the way?
Only the host can
No,
drive
should be
for some
fine.
reason. I think this might be one of them.
Oh,
wait. Stop. How do they stop?
I had to hold the handbrake down.
This wheel is like sideways.
Robbie, if you do this one more time, I will time you out for the entire stream because this is getting weird.
Alright, let me try. Can we switch places, please? I want to try. Okay. And brake.
This is going well.
Do we need something else? Are we missing? Everything seems to be working. Do you have a battery in? We do, right? Oh, okay. Okay, it's fine.
Yep.
It works now. Oh, wait. We can forget the most important thing. Radio. Don't meow sad. We didn't lose yet, okay? We have the radio. Okay, scooch over. Okay, you know what? Hold that for a second.
I think only you can drive this.
No, it takes a while. It takes a while. It's probably because it's heavy.
Oh.
Where's the radio? Oh, I already has one. Okay, fog. The game is about driving very, very, very far.
Yeah, no, it's not working.
Keep going.
I'm holding W.
Oh, I see the wheels spinning. This may be related. I don't know if you guys see, but the front wheels on the van are sideways. But let's switch, see if it works with me then. Maybe it'll unshit itself later. Oh.
Yeah. It's the snowy car.
The snowy van. I always wanted a van. It looks so shit, but I love it.
Oh my god, Zaldar is out of the window for me.
You're just sitting in snowy.
Who said that? Who said that this game was
suspicious positioning?
Who said that this game was like the long drive, but better?
Hey, just look into my eyes and press G.
I would try to, but like you're out of the window.
Anything interesting here? Oh, there's a little backpack.
One's a backpack.
Ooh.
I already have one.
But there's the fancy wheels. Look, fancy wheels. Oh, now
I
it's
can drive
working.
it.
Huh? Bye. Oh, wait.
Bye.
This is a big
No, I
bag.
can't.
You're missing
I
out.
can't drive.
You're missing out.
Why is Bardic drunk? I'm not drunk. Why
I
am
named my thingy Bardic drunk.
Why am I literally can't drink.
It's fine. With the way you drive, they'll think you're drunk anyway.
What? I'm a good driver.
Are you?
Have we crashed?
Yeah.
When did we crash?
Oh.
Such a fucking asshole. I hate that. I hate that. Put it to the front. Put it on the front of the van.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Hi, Nugget. Bardic, you got a problem. We need to talk about it. Yeah, my problem is you haven't sent me a dick pic yet.
What?
Nugget said that they were going to send me a dick pic and they never did. Because they're a coward.
How dare you?
I didn't even ask for this dick pic, by the way. They said that they were going to send one.
Ah, could have. Don't bonk me.
I mean, make
The dog
you
wants
get to-
attention.
make sure you just pee. Just press P. We're in the car.
Yeah,
Let me look at the
I'm
state of the car.
peeing.
No one's gonna
Yeah.
care.
Listen, if I pee, it's gonna go on the back, so...
I peed.
Fine. The door's open. It's just run out the back.
True.
I'll probably do it drunkily at some point. Nugget.
See a flash.
Doesn't that mean you have the problem?
Gas station. Oh, guys. Massive engine. Massive engine.
Oh,
Let's go.
No, but we need a... that engine needs a big battery. If we don't have it... Oh, big.
Oh,
big
it's a big
radiator.
It's a
Maybe we
diesel
can find a
engine
big
now.
battery here.
Do we have big batteries? That's big wheels, though. Let's search for big batteries.
Yeah, but it uses diesel. They won't work.
Oh, true. Bardic?
Yeah.
Careful.
That's just rude.
It is.
Oh, they cleaned the room. I thought I was gonna... Oh my god, yes.
Yeah,
Hey,
I got a
ho-
backpack.
Hey, hold this.
No. Your flashlight's got a hole in it. I don't know. It's...
Oh
Yeah, I'm
my god!
I'm gonna put it on the exhaust pipe. There you go.
It's gonna make a sound, isn't it? It's gonna make the...
Yeah, it goes like plop 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 plop. Koda has all the attention he needs. Okay, he's being a little bitch.
Why
whiny.
is he... Why is he so
I
angry?
found Nugget. I got
Where's
Nugget.
Nugget?
He's right here.
Oh, it's a little baby.
Oh, I found
Oh,
a barrel.
look at how...
I found
Nugget,
a barrel
look how
of.
cute you are.
Oh, we have a big battery.
We'll add him. We'll get.
I
No,
think we can do this.
Can you add Nugget to the car?
To the car, to the call.
The car.
Oh my god.
How do I attach?
Can I attach him to the
bed.
front? That works. Anyway, I'm disassembling the whole thing. I'm sorry.
Wait, one out?
We'll see. Shit. Hold on.
I can't attach him.
Where's the... Stop raining. Where's the battery spot on this van? I need help. I'm a shittiest mechanic. Holy shit. Zalar, can you teach me where
a
the
new
battery
steering
is?
wheel.
Wait, what do you need?
I need to put that battery in our car.
Oh, okay, I got it. It's behind the front seat. Take out the front seat.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, already it's
underneath
the
it.
same, I think, right?
No, this
Uh,
one's 180 amps.
okay, yeah, put
The
that
one's
one.
71.
Okay, now I just ignore me. I'm just gonna do something. I don't need... No, I need an adult. I'm gonna siphon the... Are you
I
throwing
need to-
shit?
I'm trying to get the... How do I rotate shit?
Find out. There's a big
how-
radiator.
Can you like rotate the thing you're holding?
There was a big radiator and I lost it. Oh well, that's fine. Yeah. Do we need any? Do we have any empty shit? Petrol? Okay, this works perfectly. I am the adult. What do you mean?
You got a Slurpee there?
Yeah, I'm trying to... So we need to switch fuels, but I don't think we have enough... Oh, I can use the other big barrel. Yeah. Hold on, this is very smart. Yeah, this one. Oh my god, yes, put that in the van, please. Replace the top one.
This it won't move. It's 227 kilograms. It's not gonna.
You can do it. I believe in you.
It's not gonna move the car.
Yes, it is. Fine.
It's too much weight.
Says you.
What the fuck? What did you just say?
It says you. I didn't call you fat. No.
Yeah, you realize the context of what you said.
Oh shit. Does it work?
It's not happy
perfect.
about it. It was like yellow.
It looks pretty happy about it. We have a new engine. It's fine.
But it's diesel, right?
Yeah, I'm putting diesel. I found a diesel barrel.
There's a water tank here. I'm not sure if that's for anything.
Hold on. And... Just trying turning on the car while I was filling up. Oh, it worked!
Yeah.
It doesn't have a radiator. It doesn't have a radiator. Oh god. Okay. Fuck. There you go. Jesus.
My god.
I swear to god I saw another radiator that was better. That sounds like a diesel engine. Can you just give me 1 second? We need this wheel. It's bigger. Bigger means better. There you go.
Yeah, I totally imagine it's gonna make us go real far.
It's
Yeah,
really
bigger
gonna
means
help with
fast.
that
Why can't I
unbalanced-
move
that
anymore? What the
unbalanced
fuck?
look. You ran into a sign when you backed up.
RPT5, hello.
Why
How you
can't I
doing?
move? Says. Oh, bye. Oh, I found the other radiator. This one. Bardik.
Yeah.
Well,
I've robbed you. I've robbed
Hey,
you.
I have a secret. I don't know if it still works, but while you're holding that, just press M.
well, I had a good radiator.
Ah! What the hell?
Oh, what is happening?
What is happening to me?
Where am I? I pressed M and everything's broken. Help.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Where? We may need to restart.
I'm coming
okay.
back.
No, wait. Am I right in front of you, Snowy?
No, I pressed M and I disappeared.
Oh,
where
Oh my
the
god,
fuck
you're
am I?
teleporting to the main driver's seat. That's what's happening.
Oh, I see my headless body.
Oh, I can't move anymore. Now I pressed M and now I can't move.
Yep.
All right.
it.
So here's how we fix this. All right. I'm
Oh
going to
my-
drive up.
I'm removing my clothes.
Everybody
what the
press M so they get right next to me.
Okay, I pressed M.
Now
I
get in the
have
driver's
somehow
seat.
entered in a mode that
What do you
shouldn't be
mean get you in the... I
I'm a-
can't see.
Where am I?
Like, this moves our body, not our heads.
Yeah, the camera
it's not
view
mo-
is fucked.
What? It worked fine for me.
Well,
Every time.
maybe if I save and I will just restart.
Oh, I pressed I a bunch and it like I'm back.
Oh,
by the
I
car
works.
now.
I works. Oh, I can
But
see
I
my
can't-
own crotch
okay.
now. I don't...
So if you're stuck moving, get in the driver's seat, change seats, and then get out, and that'll fix it.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, Bardik, can you leave the
Oh, that
driver's seat
was
so I can
fucked.
fix myself?
That was fucked.
I'm still fucked! Help!
Stop pressing M, you're fucking me when you do that!
Okay, I fixed myself. I fixed myself.
Oh.
Alright, fix yourself? Are you... Okay, okay.
Hang on. I don't know. Let me...
Change seats. Go
I gotta
to
get
go
out.
to the passenger
There.
seat.
Oh my god.
Hey, there you go.
Okay,
Okay, we're leaving.
We need an alert when we're pressing M. All right.
Yeah, so
I don't trust Zelda anymore.
I should have said it. I wasn't thinking about it, but yeah, don't press M if the car's driving.
All right. Oh, how dare you throw stuff at my center?
Oh, there we go. We've been driving for we've been driving for so long.
Right,
we had
got, what kilometer are we at? We're 42 minutes.
Or
how the bad
right,
man?
we got 46 more to go.
I mean, we're playing limited, so whatever.
Oh, limitless. Okay.
Yeah, there's no aliens
or the mission based one.
There's like a barrel scraping the floor. Hey,
right.
Bardik, zoom in on the flashlight. Oh god.
I don't need to zoom in. I just hear it.
It's not going to tilt. I'm compensating. Like for the side. Oh, speed bump, speed bump, speed bump.
Oh god.
Alright, that's fine. That's fine.
Alright, what speed bump?
We traveled 5 kilometers. Let's go.
We have like one wheel. Well, like the front left wheel is on the air. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, okay, it's fine. I got it.
Hey guys,
you know
how I
crash. Nice recovery. Nice recovery.
I recovered.
Ooh, this car's a nice one.
Ooh,
this one's a fun car.
Ooh, okay.
But P-Van.
Can we
Does
get
it
the
have an
pod
engine?
The
like?
van is better, but this one this one can go pretty fast. By the way.
Okay. If we can find the parts, it would be really neat to have 2 cars at this point. There's a fucking engine.
I don't think we can have 2 cars. Oh, a 15-liter radiator. That's cool. We'll save it here for now.
This is heavy.
Oh, look at this giant battery. I think ours is
What do we
better.
need to get this working fully? Hi,
Oh, is it?
Snowy.
Wait, hold on. Let me see. Let me see. What is that?
It's the other Snowy.
It needs everything. There's literally nothing in this car.
Yeah, you cannot. Is that engine? What is it? What is that engine? Is that the V8?
I don't know.
Let me see.
How do I tell?
By looking at it.
You're dumping all the oil out on it.
Ah, it's not. What the fuck is this? I don't. You can try it, I guess.
It's a 10-liter. It's a 10-liter that works with petrol.
I just put diesel.
Other parts of the other where we were, maybe.
Oh, that's right. The engine goes in the back on this car.
Ah, fancy. Oh, you can get like 6 flashlights. Kind of cool.
Stop adding flashlights to the car.
But it goes blip blip blip. Oh, I found a
Let's
horn.
go blip, blip, blip.
What?
I'm gonna test. I'm gonna test the horn on this car. What's the horn? There's no seats even. Oh my god. Wait, are we switching again? I'm confused.
I'm guessing this.
We got 2 of
the same door.
Wait, is it the same side door?
I just wanted to take a look and see if, what pods are around the place.
Where is it?
Because I'm happy enough to leave this
door.
year,
No.
maybe. There's 3 of the same door.
So we have
Unless that's the
3
back one.
front left doors.
Nope, that's not.
Yeah, we have 3 front left doors. Amazing.
There goes my hopes of another car.
Hello? Is anybody
This
there?
fucking I'm
Send
hello.
help.
Oh, whoa,
This is a
whoa,
terrible
whoa.
idea. Nope.
No one answered.
Are we officially
idea.
switching? I'm like confused.
No, we don't have to switch.
Okay. It was good while it lasted, car.
Sorry, car.
You can paint the car purple though.
But like, okay, you know what? Sure. We need to clean it though.
How do I
Who
add
needs
this?
doors? We need doors. We have a lot of doors actually. 3 of the same door. Look at that.
Where does the horn go?
I don't know. I've been trying to find that out.
Oh, the horn for this goes in the very front right here. Just gotta take that off.
That's not what I wanted.
In the
Shit.
Front of the van right up here.
What are you?
The van sucks as a mechanic, man.
I'm gonna just drink whatever I find.
Doors aren't safety features.
Oh, I gotta
They will.
pee.
they will murder you because
There we are.
you know they can open and then you get fleeing out of the car.
We be pissing chat. I should really just make sure that I pee on everyone else.
Next time you
That's
want to piss, tell
important.
me. I'm gonna cross streams. Oh, I am ready.
I am getting hungry.
Next stop, okay? We have food at home. Just get in.
Oh wait, you had the okay. Wait a second.
Oh, but where's my seat?
Oh, I took it off. You can put it back. It's on the car.
Yep.
I was
It's in the
testing the
car?
horn.
Wait, what? What
Oh, it's on the
car
back.
is
There's a lot of shit in the back. Just go in the back.
No,
you have been demoted to the back.
No, I'm better than this.
Oh wait. Lights on the right side. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Look at
Bardic
that.
piss is my favorite emote. We have a Bardic piss emote. Oh, is this the fucking? Hang on.
You have a Bardic piece
on
emote.
OBS.
Since when?
I feel like there was a Bardic piss emote, but I don't have
You
BTTV
feel?
installed. Me having a fucking piss emote should not surprise anyone.
You know
It's
what?
a funny bit.
I like the baby stuck to the shark fin. It's like nice immersion.
Listen, ever since having a foot fetish got
So, the shark
normalized,
fin
we
for
have to
me
like
is
make
gone.
new jokes. So we make pee jokes instead. There is no piss emote. I'm sorry.
Have you seen like the prevalence of Pete content in like normal media now? I feel like that's like a phenomenon that's been happening.
Yeah,
There's too much
because of
feet.
everyone made fun of foot content so much that now people have foot fetishes.
Yep.
It's that thing like, haha, look at this joke, chat. Look, it's so funny. And then like,
I'm totally.
it's a
into
joke,
it.
right, guys?
To be
It's a
fair,
joke, right?
that's how I got into pits. That's how I got into sniffing pit.
Excuse
I
me.
was like, haha, funny, unless.
Unless.
Like, it's
Wait.
funny joke unless you want to try, but funny, haha.
Yeah.
You just sniff your first dude, and then you're like, oh, nature's poppers.
You're like, ha, look at that. It's a joke. So funny, haha.
The joke is sex, chat.
That's like 90% of the content online. We gotta make sex jokes so we can have the content followers, obviously.
Yeah.
Is sniffing armpits sexual though?
Are we there yet?
Can you just
Have
have like
you ever-
pleasure on doing something without being sexual? Like, can you just like it?
I mean, yeah.
There's a
I also
campfire.
do just like sniffing like ente in a non-sexual way, but you know.
Can you just have as a gun? Don't worry about the RPGs. We're fine.
Yeah, there's nothing to worry about. There's.
I like a car here, like randomly. Or it doesn't have anything. Quick stop just to
there's a
check.
phone
Then
now.
it
We
to
could
stop.
Try and call somebody for help.
Call chat for help. Dial 911. I found.
Just
I found a.
911.
What car
I
is it?
found a
That's a nice car.
fan. It's chat. I'm gonna put you here. There we go. Hi, Huli Flex.
Oh, I
Huli
found the
Flex.
other purple light for the other side. Let's go.
This is a cool car. If I was alone, I would use this one. Pontiac. Maybe. I don't know.
Someone's got to pee. I heard it.
I'm gonna be on the car.
There we go. Cleaning some
I'm
windows.
s-
for you.
I'm
You guys are
spotting.
filthy up here.
Hey, ping in a trash bag.
You guys pissing on the windshield up here too? Jeez.
Oh, there's a nice car, for fuck's sake. I want another car. We should start collecting car parts.
I mean, the car has nothing, but collect the wheels then.
There's not a single wheel.
The car has no. There's 2 wheels. What do you mean?
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah.
wheel right here.
I thought you meant on the car itself. Hi, Hulex. Welcome on in.
Wait, I forget. How do you put stuff in your backpack?
Press the number.
Ah, so it's just not working for me.
Probably.
I've got. Don't worry, I've got one. Oh,
This is what you get when you code games with ChatGPT. You see a fan? Yeah, look,
The
it's
fan that
you,
you
chat.
displaced is literally floating in space right here for me.
No, if it was
Great.
chat, it'd be mildly broken.
It is mildly broken.
Gonzo.
Let's
Oh, there we go. If it's truly chat, it'll give us $20 right now.
Chat is a soulless, inanimated object. Yeah, I mean, you animated. You like moving. Is that animated?
I want to become a FinDom streamer. I need to start like
What?
researching Fin. I want to become a financially dominant streamer.
How?
The whole like, you only tier 1 subbed.
Oh,
Cringe.
Do you not have $5?
Nice try. All right.
You only have 5. Oh my god, that fucking person. Prince
You-
Chibi,
you
welcome
get-
on in.
You get ads, chat. What are you, poor or something? Like, what the fuck?
You know, I'm honestly tempted now to put the fucking ads up to like 5 minutes just to be a dick. What
My
are your
God.
ads at?
I have like the 130 for 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Basically the
I
minimum. Please don't.
Please don't.
What do you mean, please? Just
Daddy's
sub,
gotta
bro.
make. Sorry, let me redo that. Let me.
My VR stuff is gonna buy itself.
Daddy needs to pay rent, chat. Daddy
Oh,
needs
rent,
to pay
yeah.
rent.
Okay.
Oh, speaking about rent, I got a new apartment. I'm gonna sign the lease tomorrow.
I see a gas station ahead of us.
So yeah, chat ads are gonna double. I'm sorry. Forgot to mention it. Holy shit, that is bright.
I get sub on Thursday, damn.
Jeez, what lights did we put on
That's
this
so
thing?
sad. I don't know. Oh, there's a guys.
You do have to be careful. You can run the.
I found another.
Oh,
Oh,
we got another one.
Oh, this one has the little cover. We can yank it. Oh, I found the V8. I found the
Yes, let's
V8.
go.
We keep this. We're keeping the V8.
Wait,
He runs
But we
on.
switched it to diesel, didn't we?
Fuck! God damn it!
Am I not wearing pants anymore?
Did you take your pants?
I guess I did.
I'm not leaving good. The plan was always to get a house because we don't have enough space here. Like 20 minutes away. It's not that far away. Plus, if we have 2 VRs, so we have 2 VRs and like dual full body and dual Quest Pros. I'm gonna tell you that our local network does not fucking like it.
Yeah, me and NT were talking last night about how we either like we're gonna need like 2 offices when we.
Yeah, you can. We
When
have the
would,
PCs, right?
yeah.
Like we have 11 trackers and like each, and like yeah, it doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work. My
Does
my
anything happen
wireless.
if you overeat in this game?
I don't know, but I found like a little big speaker. We have a V8 shit. We're gonna use the V8. Don't worry. I'm just gonna put the speaker here.
Should have.
There we go. We have the V8. The problem is I need to switch. Wait, we have a gas station. Don't tell me it's all diesel. Oh no, there, petrol. There we go. Green. Yeah, we can switch. We can switch. Hold on, we're switching. Just put the V8 there. We're going V8 shot.
Is it petrol or diesel?
It's a green one.
It's the green one. Green one for V8, I think.
Yeah, I'm calling to see if you've ever seen anything like this. I found a crate
Okay, so god damn it, we're gonna have to disassemble this whole thing again, right?
like clocks buried.
Maybe you've discovered how clocks
10-liter
you plant watches.
thingy. Okay, don't
No,
need that
I'm
one.
not.
I need that first. Did you put the where's the V8?
What were you expecting? Of course, they're
Yeah,
A
did I?
little too yellow
Oh, it's
for my
you.
liking.
Sorry,
We'll go.
I say use the yellow buzz.
How far can
We're
I
gonna
go
have
if
to.
I run?
We have to switch everything. I'm lazy.
How far can I go if I run, chat?
I mean, you run, tell us like what's ahead, and then we'll
Yeah.
catch up. Bartek is clearing the way.
Of course you're starting. You're the only one playing. This guy's an idiot. You know what?
I'm gonna
You've got a
pee
better
as I go. I'm
Ah,
marking.
yeah, that's
like
how,
just follow the smell.
tell us whether
Just follow
you're
the smell.
left or right.
That's how you put oil in the engine.
Dang,
There you go.
That was quick. So, left or right?
Wait, let's get some music on.
Okay. Okay. I need to drain this. Do we have a barrel? I know we have a barrel because it was scraping the floor. Right there.
Oh, am I seeing a campfire?
I have a question. Why do we have a barrel with petrol and 13% water? What happened?
That's a good question.
I'm on
I
my
have an
way.
answer for you. On
Our
that.
water is tainted, bro. Fuck, it wasn't enough. What do I do now? Wait, can I suck? Oh my god, yes.
What is this?
The gas pump. Get the gas pump. Oh wait, are we switching to the other bus?
I thought we were switching to the other one because of the gas.
What just killed me?
Well, now we are. Fuck it.
Oh,
Now we are.
I'm on landmines.
And yes, not all.
Did you find the gambling thing?
Music?
I think so, yeah.
Did Bartek find the gambling machine? Yeah, there's landmines on that. Be careful. Are we switching to this one?
Well, that was a lot. So I'm nearly dead.
Yeah, because this one is already 100% petrol.
I don't know if drinking stuff heals
Oh
me,
god, there's a lot
but
of things to
let's,
switch. I don't think so. There's health packs. You gotta find health packs.
I have done the thing.
I like that you went
Yeah,
away
dude.
and now the chats are so confusing. Jump scared. Holy shit! I know, right? Look at this tire. Whoa. Okay, shark for better aerodynamics right here.
So what happens if I gamble?
I don't know actually.
You can get a bunch of cool stuff, but usually you get nothing. You can get like
Just like how gambling
so cool.
IRL.
yeah. But it
You can
costs
get a
nothing.
bunch of stuff, but it can also
How much
get
does it
bankrupt.
cost?
0. You can just keep spinning it until the handlebar falls off.
Oh, I'm gonna do that.
Right,
Oh,
got a
okay.
shifter. Do we have a shifter?
Let's go
Person looks
gambling
like
chat.
don't worry about the wheels. I
believe
think it
in
already
us.
has a shifter, right?
You got this.
The
I believe
door.
this chat.
Does it have petrol?
Yeah, it looks. I think it does have
Damn
a
it.
shifter already.
Alright, let me
Let's
test
go
this.
gambling.
I
I
can
am
test
gonna
it.
need a hand getting out of here, I suppose. It's not gonna
We'll
work
go there.
with
We're
this.
just doing car things. Don't worry.
Oh, god damn it! That was like the cactus, maybe.
Oh, we also need the
know.
wheel.
Yeah. Okay.
Use the piece, but we are using the piece buzz. We are switching piece buzzes actually. There's 2 buzzes. We use the orange piece, bloody piece.
Give me something, game. Oh, the handle fell off. I guess. Okay.
Not working.
Wow.
Does it need the ignition? Oh, maybe it
Did
doesn't
you
have a
put the
battery.
battery in?
No, it doesn't have the battery. Sorry. My bad.
Well, that's not good.
Let's go gambling.
Gotta take the seat out first, then you can get the battery.
Ugh!
Alright, there we go. Let me get... I got lasered in the fucking eye. Ow.
Okay, I'm
Whoa!
fine. I'm
Jesus.
fine. Jesus wept. Okay, wait. This is a toilet?
All right, did you put the radiator in?
Yeah, there's a radiator, battery, seat. Hey, it
There
works.
we go. There's a radio.
Here the radio and the pedals. I don't think it has a handbrake either.
Can I shit in here?
I like the
Wait, I
parallel-
can pee in here?
I like the parallel conversation and buddy. Can I shit
Yeah.
here? Chan, oh my god, can I shit here?
Listen, you got your thing. I got mine right now. I gotta
Oh, what the
stop
fuck?
fucking landing
Oh, I
on
got the
landmines,
floor
chat.
lining. That's kind of cool.
Alright.
Blow the floor mat.
Well, that happened.
Dorito, Chito, hi! Oh my god, how you been? Oh, hi! We're being mechanics. So what did you give me a shout out? I don't know how to stream anymore, man. This is embarrassing. Oh, hi! Oh, give me a shout out, mods. We're playing
Hi,
Drive Beyond
Dorito.
Horizons with Bardik and Zaldar. We are transferring piece buzzes because we found a better one and we can be bothered to clean this one, honestly. It's like disgusting. Oh yeah, I think we have all the pedals. Oh, Dorito is amazing. And he plays guitar very well, and I didn't know that.
Brake pedal though, you know.
Yeah,
You know what? Fuck it, you need the brake pedal.
they made me sing Green Day at Eurofurrence.
I didn't know. I watched Dorito
I thought you were
and
saying
like
we made
he...
you scream, but but you know, we haven't.
I watched Dorito, and I literally didn't know. He appeared on the talent show, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Hi,
Like,
Dorito. I can't believe
that's
you
impressive.
hate
Yeah, imagine not rating Bardic. He hates you. Confirm.
What? That's.
Listen, we can do the bit where
You
if they
picked
rate
Snowy over me.
Yeah, if they rate me, they hate you. If they rate you, they hate me.
Yeah.
Can make everyone feel bad.
Yeah. No, because that means people won't rate us.
Chat.
Chat.
Don't worry about
Go
it.
into your
even though I'm
favorite
not
content creator
That'll-
who's
that'll keep
streaming
it
his
even.
chat right now, and tell them to rate us. That's how
Don't
this
do
works,
that,
right?
please. This is a joke. Please don't do this. Some people are gonna.
No, do it. Do it.
Don't. I
Do
actually had to
it.
tell. I actually had a thing where we had like. No, that happened recently. It was bad.
Oh my god.
Oh fuck! I'm stupid. I forgot about the van.
Wind thing. I found one of the side windows.
Don't
Little
tell
tiny
them to
square
rate
one.
me. All right.
Tell
Tell Snowy to
Bardic.
rate me. There we go. That. There we go. Just tell Snowy.
Do you want to rate
me.
each other at the end? Before we end?
No.
Why not? That's fun.
I'll lie about it. I'll just wait until like the 2-second countdown. Press cancel.
and just
so you rate
and then,
me, and then I'm
keep
like,
streaming for like 3 more hours.
yeah. My average viewership has gone up.
Let's go.
I'm at the next stop, by the way.
Kids, can you give me the cookies? I got cookies. They're on the candy thingy. Did you walk to the nest stop? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Zelda, wait, we don't have a radio. Can you get a radio?
No,
I need the radio.
Should be in.
Is it? Can you turn it on? I can't see. Oh.
I finally found some
Huh?
fucking
What did I
pants,
get
Jeff.
in return?
You get peanut. No, I'm joking.
What?
You get. I don't. I
Ooh.
bought you a $300 share. Shut the fuck.
I got binoculars.
Let me
Can
check.
you get the?
Maybe
I don't think
did
there's a
grab it.
radio.
I don't think I did grab the radio.
I bought Goods a $300 fucking RGB gamer chair. And she's like, what do I get in return for giving you cookies? Fuck off.
Such a healthy.
Oh, that is a mean. Huh?
There it
On
is, I
the
found it.
thingy. It's the chocolate cookies. On the
And then we can't
the
forget
thing.
Nugget.
Fuck. The stupid snack place. I forgot. Shelf. Yes, shelf. English.
Don't
Gaming
forget
shares are a
Nugget.
scam. I know, but tell Goods that. I tried, okay?
Comment il va le frérot, le fratello, comment il
Oh.
va? Ah, il fait chaud ici un peu, hein?
Why is he French? Oh, it's a baby.
Oh, there are condoms.
There you go.
Let's go.
Hi, Bardic, we going?
Okay, I'll see you in a second.
We're playing funk.
Oh, this sounds so much better.
Oh, there's a nice like 50 steering wheel here.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah,
What's it over there?
I know.
Huh?
I have it right now.
What? I can't hear you.
He's zooming.
Why does that cactus look like a penis?
Chat, don't buy a gamer chair. Buy an office chair meshed. It's the best thing ever. Don't use leather. I can hear you good. I'm streaming. What?
You need to pay for it. What?
What do you mean pay for it? I bought you a chair. Fuck off. My god. There you go.
Perfect.
Buy used office chairs. Herman Miller's or whatever.
Herman Miller, yeah, I was gonna say that's the shit. I know that eventually when this chair gives
There's-
I was did a charity stream, I got a chair for free. And didn't want it, so I took it. Hi.
Oh my, I thought you were making a pun. Charity streamer and you got a share.
No. Yeah, so I just ooh. There's petrol here.
Bardic, why is there
Yeah, they
two
shoot porn here.
wha-
Also, does anyone need a bag? Because
There's condoms. We don't need
Yep, I
those.
Oh,
See, Snowy, if you were paying attention to my nonsense,
I'm sorry, I was
you would
ignoring
think-
you
I was
over the
cold.
sound of
I was a
my
little cold, I appreciate it.
V8.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put plunger in you.
Bark, does your backpack have 2 slots or 6?
No, I'm a very
it's got 4
I'm a
slots.
very giving person.
Four,
I
this-
give
this
stuff a
one down
lot
here is
to the
6,
point where
so
I
you might
spend a
wanna
lot
switch
of
that
money,
one.
and now I need to wait for next month. Oh, the apartment I got is empty, so I need to buy chat. Oh wait, I can do the thing. I can do the oh, I can do the stream where chat chooses like the decoration for a room, because I have 2 rooms and a living room. That's gonna go well, right?
I have the item scope. I've got the item scope.
I'll give you
Oh,
like
let's go.
$1,000
Here,
of
hey, Bardic,
budget.
Bardic, here.
On Amazon,
that-
on AliExpress.
I got some night. I got
You
some night
literally
vision
heard me talk about
goggles
that
for
the
you.
other day. Fuck you.
Yeah, I'm stealing your idea. We're a team now. We're supposed to work together.
Oh my! Fuck you. Give me
You
an
can't
idea. Then.
complain because you eat a team now. If it was before the team, I would understand, but not anymore. I'm sorry.
Okay, then you
Here,
need to rate.
I'm putting this on the table for you, Bartek.
That's the
right here,
payment.
right there.
Okay,
After the
Grab
stream,
those.
okay, you know what? I'll allow you to choose. No, I'm not. Fuck off. I'm just not. No, it's gonna go well. I don't know. I'm gonna end
Grab
up with
those
like a room
those
full of
goggles.
dicks.
How do I?
Check
How
those
do I
out.
put?
No, okay, no
I feel like
dildos.
Oh yeah, no, I
to
already
equip
picked
them.
these up earlier. I was like, how do I put them in my backpack? But oh, there we go.
Oh
They
yeah,
wouldn't go
Bad
in my
Dragon now
backpack
ships
earlier.
to Norway. It didn't ship to Portugal, so now I can actually have.
There are so many better companies than Bad Dragon.
Uh,
Literally, Bad Dragon is ass. It's only
name
funny
one.
for the meme.
Name 3. Yeah, the meme.
Twisted Beast. Twisted Beast.
Okay, stop naming them. Stop. I was joking. Stop naming them. Stop them. Please don't name them.
What?
It's from China.
Were Dog, Twisted Beast
No!
is good. The
Stop!
Mundia, you can find that on it.
We're running on a trip.
sitting
How
here?
do you
On
What's
our
the
favorite
plan?
rocket ship.
Oh my god!
coming through
If
the
you-
skies?
You guys have melded into one person. Sitting in the same.
I mean,
chair.
Lovin's, I would say, is better than Bad Dragon.
Love range.
I like that you were
I-
like, oh, don't talk about other names of dildos while you were talking about dildos.
But it's like nameless. And not advertising if it's nameless. If it's nameless, it's a joke. Whenever you say a brand, it's serious. I was gonna say something. I key wanna buy the Loven's webcam just because it's
such
meme.
an ass quality.
I just
So,
meme.
hey, just start driving a little bit. Get as far away from this gas station as you can. I can't put this back in my backpack for some reason, so
Are you
I'm
gonna?
gonna take it out on this gas station. So hey,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
if you want a cool explosion, you know, just
I'm watching.
all right. Here we go. All right, and
Oh. Oh fuck! I was joking. Get in, quick, quick!
we gotta go. Go.
Go! We gotta dip.
5-star wanted level.
If we get another car, we can pretend you're the cop.
We gotta get a car. We got enough wheels on the roof now.
Oh my god! Why do we have? What the fuck?
Because
Guys,
the
when we
wheels
said
break
like
over time.
when we said like get like car parts, we mean like the different
I'm
car.
okay.
We don't need like a billion wheels.
Oh, but we're traveling 12,000 kilometers. I don't
Oh,
know
oh,
if you know
oh, oh, car. Oh yeah, we're not stopping until we reach like 1,000. By the way, I'm just saying.
that. Yep.
Oh,
you
You guys can leave, Bardik. I don't know if you know this.
Well, let's get this car fixed up.
Can we? We don't even have an engine though. There's no engine, no engine. There's wheels. Oh, I found the turbo. I'm putting the turbo in the van. I'm sorry.
Yes. Also, I
Let's
found a blue
go.
light.
Okay, go in. Fuck. Come on. This van sucks so much, like in terms of space.
That's just the starter car.
Yes.
Listen,
Oh,
I'll
that's
take any
cool.
car as long as it's my own.
Do you hate this
I know
that
who I am.
much? There's no engine. Stop building the car.
Shut up! You can't tell me what to do. I want to build my taxi.
What are you gonna do? Push
Alright.
it?
I will come back for it if we find parts.
Oh yeah. Fuck. Sergeant Donut leaked it. This is actually the GTA 6 alpha build. Yeah, we are under an NDA, but you found out. Yeah.
Oh shit!
We're in trouble.
We can
Great.
put though. We can actually dual turbo it, but there's no turbos. Yeah, that can. Oh, hi. I only found one.
Who's just peed on me?
I peed on the bedroom. That's a bedroom. I'm civilized, okay?
I'm peeing up on the top toilet up over here.
You wanna pee? Use the phone booth. Bad Dragon taxi.
There we go. All right.
Did you steal all our
I'll just...
shit?
No, I didn't. I just fucking put the fucking things that were around the area.
It kind of looks
On
cool
the-
though, actually. It's the first car we have with all the doors. Here's the thing. Are you gonna Flintstone it or like what? What's gonna happen? I can push it if you want.
I mean, I can just come back for it. Like that's if we find something.
Oh, there's a ouch. My leg.
Did you find a mine?
I think you did.
Okay, I'll be fine.
Is there a gambling machine?
Tow it?
No.
I don't think. Can we tow it?
That's all you care about. That's all you care about.
That's all I care about is gambling. I know who I am.
Oh, wait, how about this? Barley, get in the car.
Okay.
Get in the car.
Ah, there's no seat. Actually, wait. Hang on. Aren't the seats like in?
Does it have handbrake at least? Can you unbrake it?
Well, I can't sit in the front of the car. Snowy, can
just use one of my seats.
No, get me one of the spare fucking things. Run through the fence.
That was anticlimactic. Hold on, I need I need some balance.
This is gonna go swimmingly.
There you go.
Jesus.
Your car is kind of sideways. Can you fix it?
No way.
Just press A and it's fine.
Also, what is this? This
No,
is a
I put
fucking
that-
police fucking thing.
I put it on that. I put it on our van, but if I think if the host isn't the one who puts cosmetic items on, it just doesn't work.
I need my seat.
There seems to be a fence attached to your car.
You two and your vehicles. I don't need vehicles. I just need this little thing right here. All right. Goodbye.
Yes, there's a handbrake.
Okay, unbrake
There's
it.
no steering wheel. There's no steering wheel though.
There's like 3 steering wheels on the floor, like back here, on the left.
Okay, then.
Go get one. We have a twin turbo V8. Okay, we're gonna. Where Zelda is? There's like a bunch of. Wait, let me point the lights. There you go. Can you see them?
Oh, there we go. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
just-
take the wooden one.
Teamwork.
Steering wheel. There's a. Let's see what else we got. That's it.
All right, ready?
Okay, you can push me. Actually, wait. Before I do something stupid, let me close that. Yeah,
Okay, before I push you, I'm just gonna like nudge you a little bit. Align. Okay.
Do I like where this is going?
Right, Jesus, you made me choke almost. God. Alright, turn left.
I am.
Okay, cool. Keep turning left. Why is your car so bouncy? What the fuck?
Wait, hang on. How do I tell if my fucking... I feel like this game doesn't show my handbrake in the right.
I think
it doesn't want to go.
Yeah, I think. Oh, maybe you don't have an handbrake.
I mean, I can physically.
I hear it.
I can
hear
physically
you.
move it.
Yeah.
Really?
Disengage. Yeah, I've disengaged it. So yeah, I should be
I mean,
able to go.
it's like. Oh, can you put that back?
I don't know how I ended up doing that, but okay.
All right, I would say let's just come back for it. I can come back for it.
No, look, it's working! It's working! It's working! It's working! Why is it out of the car? Okay, we gotta aim it. I feel like the wheels are still locked though.
All right.
Oh, let me nudge it.
Alright, I'll meet you guys in that location. I'm on my way.
My god, your car is so heavy for no reason. What the fuck?
We can just come back for it.
Nah, this is gonna work.
It's gonna hurt.
Okay. Okay, get your wheel ready.
Yeah, I'm just straight.
Jesus, your car's fucking. What the fuck is wrong with your car?
Just keep driving into me. Just keep trying that.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
We're
That's gonna
going
be too much.
It worked last time.
Yeah, it didn't. Okay, hang on. Let me get out.
I feel like you're still braking.
I'm not braking. Okay, now then I just brake.
Oh!
It's if I'm in there.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. I'll take your car, don't worry.
Can you take me as well, Ed? Jesus.
In some countries, it's illegal to
Actually, I'll probably
modify a
get there
car
faster
engine
without
to
you.
accept its original
Ah, fuck it, whatever. We'll go back. Oh.
And then it's fucking give me my that. I mean. I'm getting a car. Hopefully. Oh god.
Yeah, you're getting a car for your 18th
birthday. Is making me
birthday.
feel drunk.
Oh,
The
you're
slight angle
backwards.
is like, ugh.
Did I go backwards? No, I didn't. Oh my god, I see the light. Oh.
Are you gonna pick Zelda up?
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted to walk.
I was expecting to get launched somewhere, but I just teleported through the car. That was
No, giving Bardic back shots colorized. Oh god. It wasn't even good back shots. This is bullshitty.
Snowy giving Bardic back shots colorized.
Where did the front left seat go?
We did the car things as a test and we forgot about it.
Oh, alright.
Yeah.
I'm in.
With the way that Snowy's painted, let's face it, Snowy's gonna be getting back shots.
What do you mean? I'm very like. Everyone's gonna joke if I say this. Never mind.
Oh man, I was right here.
Oh, my other car.
Alright. Engine. There's something. What's this?
There's a
I don't know what
battery.
this is.
There's a battery.
That's a battery?
Yeah, and the plunger. If you want it.
Oh, there's a radio over here.
Can you fucking get up? There you go. Maybe there's a radio over here. Oh, more speakers. One more speakers.
We need.
I would get. I don't think you guys want back shots from a semi truck. I don't feel like. Ow! What the fuck? You kidding me? Hello?
Are you actually? Oh my god! How far? Are you back at the start?
I'm dead. I'm peeing myself. Okay. Am I just dead? It is like permadead? Like what?
Wait, where did you die at?
I'm like right here. I can see you guys. I'm dead. Like I'm.
Press
Can I
M.
respawn? I don't want. I don't trust the M anymore.
We need to use a battery to respawn you, but we need to see where your body is. But your body's showing up as all the way back at the beginning for us.
No, I'm right.
Oh,
I'm like right on the entrance on the left side, near the ice machine.
All right, where was that
But I
battery that we
died.
just got?
We got problems. Oh my god, they killed Snow. I was actually just trying to tag him.
You should all just unfollow Barley now because of this. He's a bully.
Actually, no, I think chat would be more on my side.
Probably, honestly, yeah.
Oh,
There's a light show.
English or Spanish? A little bit of Spanish. Whoever moves first is gay.
Wait, so, oh my god, you packed the box so weirdly weird.
Did you feel the hole? Hope you find peace for yourself. New boyfriend, feel the void.
Well, if you knew what's happening right now, is I'm fucked. I'm dead.
Yeah, I'd say you might have to respawn.
Do I press M? I don't know.
I'd say. Oh wait, hold up. Let me get out.
I don't know if there is a respawn because it's you go until everybody dies.
Press M.
Okay, I'm gonna press M. I'm scared of this.
Just do it.
Nothing happening. Oh, I'm giving me with. Oh yeah, you perma killed me.
Press I. Just keep pressing I.
I.
Are you permanently dead?
Yeah.
Unless you have a battery, you need a car battery to revive them. But their body for us, you're so far away. Your body's like at the.
Is it like chat commands or something?
You know what's funny? I can't move the fucking van. You did a number when you parked.
I mean, I can just oh, I can kick you and ban you.
No.
I can just restart the instance. Oh god,
Can you reload a save?
There's an earthquake. Oh god. Yeah, I'm gonna try reloading the save. This is bad. This is very bad. Right, watch my stream real quickly.
Hold up. Oh my god.
Yeah. I can still pee myself though. Kind of cool.
At least you know.
Okay,
at
note
least
to
we got
self,
the, at least we got the bases covered.
Don't
I'm just gonna
tag each
click.
other.
I'm gonna click exit and see what happens. All right, save first.
Don't save. I mean, you'll be dead.
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe the game doesn't cover that case. We'll see. We'll find out. It would be cool if I exit now and it just deletes the save.
This chat's giving me a
Oh
headache.
god.
Oh my god.
Oh, I
You have been disconnected.
continue.
Can I get
I
dressed
just
or
okay.
anything?
I misclicked. Fucking Christian. Christian Minecraft server. Heck, I died. Oh no. I clicked the wrong button. Let me reset. My game just fucking glitched now. I can't load.
Broken game. Broken game.
I mean, it's. Oh wait, no, I'm dead.
You're dead in the
Oh
save.
yeah, I'm at the start. Wait, hold on. Yeah, no, this is an issue. We may need to. Okay.
New game. New game. This time, don't fuck up.
So, I
Do you have a
could.
save that was recent, like from today, or no? You don't.
Let me
okay.
just. I'm gonna start and invite you.
There
and
should
see
be
what
auto
happens.
saves.
We can just start over. It'll be fine. Right?
It's fine. What we can do this time is aggressively just like not stop
We should have.
for a while. Just brave it.
We should have killed each other at the start. Just because we would have found this out and be like, oh,
Yeah.
god damn it.
Well,
I'm loading.
normally your dead body doesn't teleport back to the beginning, and you just use
Yeah,
a
I mean
car
the
battery to
I mean
revive
the
somebody.
beginning of the road.
Yeah. I mean, I have a save. If you want to join up on my save, we can, you know,
Is it
I
too
do like the
advanced?
idea of bum rushing it from the start.
that works
Seeing if
too.
I fuck it.
So,
No multiplayer. There you go. Can we? Yeah, normal difficulty. Yeah, I'm just gonna start. Fuck it. Starting over, chat. Don't worry. Speedrun. We're gonna speedrun.
speedrun. All right, I'm driving because we crash less when I drive.
Okay. Fuck it. No, we don't. What do you mean?
You crashed so many times.
Yeah,
You also got the
because-
van stuck multiple times.
No, you killed me.
Okay, that has nothing to do with driving, though, does it?
I got scared. There was like no car for 1 second. There was actually no car in the garage. Okay. Whoa. Jesus. Need some space party. Oh my god.
What the fuck? I literally just spawned. Fuck off. I'm not even in the game on my screen.
Damn.
Hi, Fire SK. Welcome on.
Why is there fucking... there's piece on the engine already.
There's piss in the engine already? Good.
Yeah, there's like 2 liters of piece on the engine.
I lost OBS for a second, then I shit myself. I was like, oh
I
no.
like that your bot is thanking someone on my chat for appearing for the first time. Hi, Fire Husky. Okay, engine
Why don't we just start
on.
with
Alright,
ours
We're
again,
speedrunning. I'm
so-
getting the water and we're leaving. Fuck it.
Alright.
Oh, it's full of petrol. Yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. We're just leaving. Fuck it.
Alright, I'm ready. Okay,
Let me
stop.
get the water. Let me get the water. Yeah, just start the car. Fuck. Let me get the water. Yeah, this one. I am draining and pissing on this at the same time. Amazing.
I would like to pee, but apparently I'm not full enough to pee yet.
Don't stuck a jet engine on me. What do you mean? A new from Bad Dragon. Jet engine.
Alright,
Have a
anything
radio? Yeah, we
else?
do.
A hubcap. Oh wait, we're fine on hubcaps. Like everything is. We are hubcapped the fuck up.
Alright, it's ready. Let's go.
Okay. On my way.
Let's go. Send it. Don't stop after we see 10 kilometers.
Wait. I need one thing.
Fuck. Oh yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
get the
important.
weapons that ruined the game last time.
Yeah.
Very important.
All right, I'm ready. It's only just slightly pointing at your head.
You know what? While you drive, I'm gonna pee. So I'll be right back. Try to watch him, and if he... Oh my god, did you...
No crash. That definitely wasn't a crash at all.
That wasn't a crash.
No,
Yeah,
we're testing the physics, see if everything was okay. Yeah, game's fine.
Is that a wacky waving inflatable fucking tube, man?
Okay, can we stop on this one? It's a garage.
That's a garage.
Yeah, can you stop on this one, please? I'll pee later. This one's actually really good. Oh!
That's one way to get out of the car.
I mean, I guess.
That at least it didn't kill us.
It's fine. We're very resilient.
Listen,
okay,
we're
that's
being
nothing.
All right,
Wait,
we're doing
okay,
this
it's
fast.
loading. It's gonna load. It's gonna load.
Is it?
Something's gonna load?
Nope.
Nothing. Okay,
It's
nothing
empty.
loaded. It's empty. Okay. Well.
Okay, listen.
Shit,
There's one
garage.
thing we can do.
It's brushes so we can clean the car.
There's one thing we can do. No, but we're going speed run. Every decision I'm doing is for speed. I'm gonna put the big wheels. Because the same RPM and bigger wheels means more speed. Everyone knows that. And don't question my physics.
How many big wheels are there?
2. So, you know...
Just 2 for the back.
To make the car faster, you make it look like a dragster. There you go. Look at that. That's way faster now. Do we have red paint?
Right.
Well, no, I need to paint it red. Red means...
Red paint.
we do.
I definitely rust. Yeah, there was definitely red paint in there.
Red means speed.
Alright.
Get
Get in.
Well,
I'm leaving without you.
No, red is speed. Red is speed.
Red.
Okay.
Look at that. It's way faster now. I can feel the speed.
Yeah. Lightning fucking McQueen over here.
I'm gonna
That's
start
what
saying
this is.
family.
It's been a long day.
Alright, weight loss. We don't need this. We don't need this.
When I see you
Let's go.
again.
Look, it actually looks like a race car.
Wait. We have one too many chairs. We only need.
Yeah, weight loss.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Let's go.
The bigger the distance from the chef, the higher the speed. That's what she said. Look at that.
Wild. We are actually going faster.
Yeah, more speed, more fast. The car is like sunking though. Is it done?
All right. So, do you trust me?
No. Shortcut?
I'm saving time on the road. I'm saving time on the road.
Bartek, you gotta scream shortcut when you do this. Shortcut!
Shortcut!
Weight reduction.
It's only cool if you do a flip at the same time though.
If we get rid of Zelda, we actually go. We probably go faster.
Yeah. Just let me. Just leave me. Just leave me behind.
Weight reduction. Oh god.
I am surprised that I've done this. I've gone this far. So
is this still part of the shortcut? I'm getting scared.
Keep an eye out for jumps, because there are jumps that they make on the
there's
side
ramps.
of the road.
I mean, we are already at 3 kilometers. I think we're doing good progress. Who needs fast cars? Fuck it. This is way better.
Let's go.
Yeah, we only need shark fins, and that's it. Nothing else.
All right, we can stop at 5K.
Why?
No, I'm just saying, fine. I'll just keep going.
I have a lot of guys. We need to stop at 5K.
I'm just waiting for
this is called the road
say
trip,
that, and
not
then
the
at
road weight. You know.
Yeah.
This guy is optimized for long
The
distance
music
traveling.
they've got on right now really does fit the vibe. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, here we go.
Oh my god, that's a speed. We're going above 160 right now.
Let's go.
Is that a helicopter?
Just hit that ramp. Just hit that ledge. Just take it.
Oh my god, this is
The only
going
way to go faster is to just literally fly through the air at this point.
We're almost going 200.
lines.
Holy shit.
See, you can trust me as a driver. I think it's tire. Is that a tire give out?
Uh-oh.
Man,
Thread the needle.
we
Okay,
just crossed 6 kilometers. This is going super fast. Shit. I can't believe it actually worked.
What is that ahead?
I can cross. We can decrease more weight if we got rid of the, you know, the speedometer.
Yeah, we don't even know how fast we're going. Just get it out. Just pull it out.
Oh, now we're climbing. Yeah, now it's going slower. Yeah, it's losing power. It's losing power.
Yeah, but look at that hill we're going up. The other side's gonna be.
If we go up, we have to come down later.
Yep.
You know what's funny? There haven't been that many stops.
Oh, you can put your seatbelt. If you look at the seatbelt, you can put your seatbelt. Very important.
Oh, it's like a Volkswagen Golf.
You two can. I don't have a seatbelt. I'm not cool enough to have one back here.
I'm sorry. I'm hearing,
I'll just hold on to this rocket launcher.
You only get a seatbelt if you're live.
I hear it raining.
Oh.
Do you hear water? Is someone peeing? Is the engine dying? Oh, the engine!
Oh.
Fuck! Wait. Something's open. I think.
Leaking.
Yeah, could you stop, buddy? Oh, I know what? No, send, no. Go, fuck it.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
all
fuck
times.
it. We'll stop when it needs to stop. It's fine.
Literally got Sonic fucking music on right now.
That's the best.
On these gas stations. We're gonna pass. We've been playing this for 2 hours and we passed our fucking last save in 3 minutes.
Why did Challenge just say that they want to beat me up? Oh, Cash sent the whip. Damn it. I should have said about
I think this is the meta, actually, on this game.
Yeah.
Oh, the car is a little bit wobbly.
No,
oh, the radiator was open. I closed it. I fixed it. Don't worry.
Okay, we're good. Then we're good. Yeah, we're good.
And we just passed. Yeah, we just passed our. Yeah, there you go. We just passed.
Let's go. Wait, where does it say the distance?
Up left.
It just tells me the time. It doesn't. Tell
yeah,
me
it says the time for me.
Oh, we are at 13 kilometers, by the way.
I find it so funny when Europeans say kilometers instead of kilometers. Uh-oh. I don't know why we're not going.
Okay, handbrake. We can fix this. We can fix this. Handbrake.
Yep.
It's smoking. It's fine. Hold on.
Oh.
How do I take my seatbelt off?
I'm guessing the radiator overheated.
We overheated.
Oh, yeah, probably not enough water. Okay, guys, do a circle and pee on the radiator.
Yeah, you're right.
I am full, so.
Oh, shit. Is it working? Oh, I don't have enough engine oil.
Hello.
I mean, if it's overeating... Okay, listen, I have an idea.
Hey, babe.
Kinder
Surprise! Sorry, I'm busy. Ente got me a Kinder Surprise egg.
Look, I have an idea. Engine is overheating, right?
I love you. I love you too. And a ginger immunity shot. Thank you. I love you.
I'm fanning the engine.
I'll take this now. Thank you.
I found 11 liters of
engine
engine
oil. Coffee.
Ethanol equals good explosions, right? You can. It's an add-on, right?
Fair. All right.
I'm putting ethanol on the car.
Yes. All right. Did it work? Sorry, I was distracted by.
Did you put ethanol in the engine directly?
No, I put engine oil in the.
Oh, I thought you said fucking ethanol. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're gonna kill us all.
I figured I'd just put some explosives in here, you know.
Bartek, do you teach you how I cool the engine down?
What was that?
Do you want me to teach you how to cool an engine down when it's too hot?
Pee on it?
No, you grab it and then do this. There you go. Fixed.
Yep. Alright,
wait.
what's in my
wait, I found something that's gonna make us go faster. It's gonna make us pirates. Here we go. Take the steering wheel out.
Oh, the boat steering wheel. Yes, put it in.
Step out for a second, Bartek.
What, I gotta get out?
I can't. I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna give you the finger unless.
No, it's okay. Well, I don't mind. Sorry. I'm just not. I
look
was given
at
a
that.
Kinder egg, so I am currently building a Kinder toy.
Did you get a Kinder egg? I missed them.
See, you hear the partners in this stream right now, chat. Goots is being yelled at for not handing a cookie over, and my partner got me a Kinder.
I know, right?
I think I win. I think I win.
Man.
Right.
We got petrol.
Goots doesn't give me Kinder eggs. I don't even know what she is.
All right.
Did we close the oil?
I think so.
It's closed. It's closed. Yeah, we're good.
It's fine. If it makes noises, we can fix it again. Oh, I go.
We're good to go.
All right, there we go.
I like we're climbing up, so the car is leveled. If you look at the side.
You're right.
I'm currently opening up my ginger shot with one hand while I drive. Yeah.
I'm sure everything will go fine.
It'll all work out. We'll be fine. I have a rocket launcher. Oh, there's a jump right there.
Where's the jump?
It'll be back. It's right at the top.
Oh, look at this hill! Holy shit, Brace! I'm gonna put my seatbelt.
Fuck it.
You guys should have put your seatbelts. See, it worked.
I don't have a seatbelt.
Okay, so just yes, press M. I'm alive. Okay, that was fun. Oh, pirate ship. That's great. Sorry.
The card
right.
is somewhere else than where I actually was. Okay. Wait. I keep pressing the wrong button to sit down.
See, seatbelts. Chat, always wear your seatbelts.
Where's the fun in that?
Hi, Cheesy Potato King. Welcome.
All right, let's
good.
go.
Bardic's partner gave him a Kinder egg. Where's it? Yeah. Yes, we do. Yeah, if you go buy it.
Ooh, shortcut. Yeah.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, I would have said shortcut.
Never mind. The store is literally just closed now. Literally 1 minute. Oh, Jesus.
Get good.
I don't want your I don't want your stripper pole thing.
Straight ahead right now.
The road is ahead of us, just like right there. So you're fine.
Okay, all right.
Let's go.
I know what I'm doing.
Oh my god, that bolt.
Thread that needle.
Jesus.
I'm a fine driver. Will you grow up? Like, we haven't crashed so
I don't
far.
want to. After.
I just want to go back to the beginning of the last round.
Yes.
Where all of a sudden we were just driving upside down in the car.
Reg, Norway
has
the best work-life relation thing balance I've ever seen in my life. I get in at 8, I leave at 3, and it's fucking amazing. Stores leave close at 11 because people deserve, to have lives,
Yeah, we have
people that work at stores have families
Norway
too.
is still better, but our stores close at 11 here. In Germany, some stores close at midnight. But also
shifts.
I want to see why does this look like? Why did that look like?
Wow, yeah, what the fuck? Okay, this is the first break after 20 kilometers. What are you doing? Wait, are you not braking?
I am. I'm just coming to a smooth. I'm not wasting the momentum.
Wait, go.
You can get out. You can get out.
Okay. I see. Let me unbuckle. Let me unbuckle. Oh, okay, I jumped out. I searched for stuff. We actually need to stop because I'm getting hungry. Let's see.
Oh,
water.
Actually, I'm fine.
I found a barrel of water. Gulp, 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 gulp. Why are you making a dick? How much fuel did we lose? Because we have fuel here.
We should probably grab whatever.
I added
anyway.
some back, but
my watch just yelled at me for laughing above 90 decibels below.
That happened to me yesterday. I got a fucking decibel warning. I'm like,
I hate it when it does it. When I'm like
I'm sorry.
Shit. I'm like,
I feel self-conscious now.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does to me. I'm like, I'm sorry that I laugh loud. All right, we're probably gonna have to do another stop.
Is the car petrol or petrol? I have a lot of petrol. We made the alcohol. Thank you.
All right,
we good. I mean, we could top up. Like,
Need to make sure this is the right song we need.
It's we still have like
just H once you're in there.
We still have 39 liters. Size like we didn't spend shit.
I mean,
oh, these are both the same. So.
Right.
Oh, there's stuff on the ceiling.
I mean, money for petrol, so I'm just gonna fill it up anyway. Fuck it. Wait, where's the hole?
On the other side. The struggles of an European is free. I'm gonna fill it up. Fuck it. Petrol is expensive.
I mean, yeah, I feel. All right.
Oh, but she's gonna turn around. Bardic, did you know that if you turn around, the thing doesn't move, right?
That we stopped for gas.
Shut up. Shut up. I wasn't thinking.
I'm gonna need
I used all my brain. I used all my brain cells getting us this far this quick. All right, you could have filled up the petrol.
There you go. I've never seen this happening IRL. I've been waiting for this moment.
It's not IRL.
That's whatever, close enough.
Also, the hose, the fucking hose on these things are IRL are long enough to go around the car.
Why depends on where you gotta open. Do you have a car?
It definitely does depend.
I don't have a car, but it's a fucking video game. You're acting like.
Put it there. You go. Now hold it.
I just like how this is going.
I don't think Bardic has a license.
I don't have a license.
Why?
I know how to drive.
We picked the wrong person to drive.
Zelda's blowing this up. Yeah, Zelda's blowing this up.
Yeah, we're getting no evidence.
No witnesses.
Cool. Just gonna watch as this eventually explodes.
Chat, get your driver's license. It's really nice. There we go. And now we don't look at it, so to look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in third person mode, it's not looking at it.
True.
But like, I live in a capital city. I haven't needed a license. That's the thing.
But like, that's it. Okay, so.
For a second.
Oh, okay. I'm looking back. Wait, I gotta look back to the other side.
I feel like
nice balls, man.
Bulging in my eyes right now.
What? Oh, okay. Sorry. Guys, I was gonna say the best time to take the license is when you don't need it, because when you need it, it's too late.
Oh yeah, no, I'm aware. It's just also costly, so it's kind of
how much is
one
it
of those things. To learn how to drive will probably cost you anywhere between 1 to 3K.
That's a big range.
Depends on how many lessons you need and how many times you fail.
So it's a skill issue.
Yeah, but when you make your food.
Oh god. I send it.
I love that you just keep shitting yourself at the driving, even though like I've given you no reason to distrust my driving so far.
So far. Speed bump.
You know, I'm gonna off-road here. I'm gonna off-road here. I'm gonna get cocky.
Oh, there's
a jump coming up.
Landed? Landed?
There we go.
Hey. Bardic, you're okay with me making food? Ente is asking.
Yes, I already said yes. I already said
okay. Yes. Is he good at making food? Did we pop a tire? We have like a half a tire on the floor. One of them.
Yeah, that keeps happening, I've noticed, so. Let's find out.
Oh, there you go. You fixed it. You can just put it back now.
Yeah.
I am the car now. Thank you. I was
oh, yeah, actually, see, it's just totally planned. He fixed it.
It's so fun doing that. Just crap. As long as it doesn't actually destroy everything, I'm like, fuck it, why not?
You can lose the steering wheel, then we're screwed. Can you press H? Okay, it's the same one. Mechanic. Yeah, the front left wheel is sinking.
Introducing the ultimate solution for a sparkling car body, Must
What?
Plus polishing sponge.
She got there.
Say goodbye to dull finish.
I'm working here.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one. Going over this is gonna feel good. How many K are we at now?
22.
Okay.
We doubled. Oh, it's struggling.
Nah, she's my baby. I've got this.
This is my dream car. No doors. Engine and radiator. Who needs anything else?
Just rock in the way there.
That's just a stupid rock.
Whoa,
You
what the
can't
hell?
take a call on my PC and complain I make noise when I'm streaming.
I always say no matter what.
I hope you're
Man, not anymore. You gotta share. What is this?
Last week, a cargo plane reportedly lost its cargo in flight.
Every time we should also for you like screaming. I was like,
He's going to the couch.
Night vision goggles and lots of other gadgets.
This was hidden, so I wanted to take a
Then in the
look.
newspaper, a man
Are we
prepared for
stopping?
the
Oh, there's a garage. Let me open the garage at
apocalypse
least.
bunker on a lost road.
Fucking
with a
seatbelt,
whole
man.
arsenal of car equipment,
There you go. I can see why people don't use seatbelts. It's annoying.
It's not annoying. These
Ooh.
are fucking people.
Wait, hold on. What? Ah, stop touching me stuff. Oh, it's a Volkswagen Polo. Do you guys want the Polo? It looks fast. What are you doing?
If I'm gonna be a racer boy about it, yeah, go on then.
Interesting. A racer boy.
You can
A
build
racer
it.
boy.
I like that the lockers are glitched.
Okay, can I? Oh, there's the steering wheel.
Ooh, hello.
This is better. You know what? I'm kitting out I'm kitting out the Polo. Fuck it.
I don't know what the phone call just did. Do you get like bonuses or something? Oh, I gotta wait. What is the bucket for? That's thirst, right?
Yes. Are you dying? There's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, I'm basically dying. There we go.
Ooh, tank top. Do we chat? Do we switch? I need you guys to. They're gonna make that worse. So no.
What was that?
I'm asking chat. What they think we should do.
What do you want to do?
I need help from the professional mechanics. What the fuck? What are you doing?
I don't know.
You're spasming. This already has a radiator. Keep the current. Chat is saying keep the current. I mean, one person is saying.
You want to keep the current because I mean,
like
it's Lightning McQueen. I mean, if you've got the parts to make another car.
Boy, come here. Come here. I need you guys to come here. Look at this shelf. Twin turbo.
Pog.
Twin turbo Volvo. We're doing this. We're switching. Fuck it.
Okay.
Fuck it. We're switching. I mean, our car doesn't have shit, so it's not really like.
All right.
It's not gonna take long. Just do this and done.
I decorate it.
3.5. Or oh, is this the tiny engine that I like? If this is the engine I think it is, this is gonna be fun. Oh my god, yes.
Bobby, my
hell
baby.
Yeah, brother.
Oh, we already have the doors. Okay.
Do we have more engine oil?
Oh, tank top.
Seep. Put the other turbo on the back because we can't use it yet. Actually, can we? Nah, we need like a double intake thingy.
Hey,
The Volkswagen
needs
needs.
in the car.
What is that?
Where'd it go? Uh-oh. Oh, here it is.
I don't know why my TTS has been acting up really badly lately.
It's right in front.
Okay. Where's the... Yes, petrol.
I'm not gonna kill you, Zelda.
Do it.
I've learned my lesson.
Do it.
I've learned my lesson.
There's only one problem.
All right.
Oh, okay. TTS monster probably is having issues.
Oh! Got it working?
Oh, this is gonna
Disco
be fun.
ball!
This is gonna be fun. Did you hear that, chat? This is an OG Turbo Wolf Fox. I'm gonna drive this one. I'm sorry.
Excuse you.
I
At
wanna
least let me drive it to
the
begin with.
monster.
You have it. You have caused me problem. Like I.
What do you mean?
Let me drive it for a little. Let me drive it for a little bit.
Can I
Let
take
me
it
drive
off
to the
can
next
I,
station?
Can I take it off the garage then?
You can take it out of the garage. Yes.
Okay, I'll take it off the garage. Stop me to take it for the ride, man. How you been?
It's garage. It's garage. It's
Listen,
garage.
we're driving. I'm not here for English
It's
lessons.
garage. It's garage. It's not garage.
Oh, can you take the car off the garage?
Garage.
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 Can you take the
sounds
car off a garage?
Garage.
Holy
Oh
shit!
Jesus! Jesus!
Holy shit!
Holy
You ready?
fuck! All right, has it got all the seats?
I think so. Do we need a shifter? Oh,
There's
don't tell
only
me.
It's a two-seater.
Nah, that can't be. Oh, come on.
Oh,
No.
Did the
it's good.
turbos not work on that one?
No, we can take the. There's a thing you can attach. Can we take it? Actually, I think this battery is better than ours.
All right, but we still have the problem of not being able to fit people in here.
No, there's a thing you can attach a seat to. We just need to find it. It has to be somewhere.
They can find it.
Oh my god. Okay. That car is cool though. Can you actually not touch it though?
Oh shit!
I think you can. Come on.
Okay,
What
this
if-
thing is gonna fly.
It's bullshit.
Wait, you can press M at any point, right, to teleport?
Yeah, so just I gotta sit in there once to make the car my home car, and then I can just teleport to you.
We can make you.
There we go. I'll just work at the store for now.
Yeah, we work at the store. Oh my god. Jesus. Can you close your door? Oh, okay.
Shot.
Oh, okay, there you go.
I'm trying to close it, and it doesn't want to.
Oh, let's go. We don't have a
I'm not
radio,
even
but...
driving. Wait, hold up.
Oh. Oh my god.
Why is it yellow now? I made it the Barbie mobile.
Oh, I made it pee. I think we need more gears. There you go.
There we go.
It flames out of the... Oh my god.
Oh god, I don't know if I can hold this one. Oh no!
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
How did I not fly out of that?
Seatbelts.
You
can put
do I have a
seatbelts.
seatbelt on?
Yeah, behind you, there's a seatbelt.
I didn't put it on myself. That's how I'm like, how did I survive? I need to get back to the road and it's not turning.
I think this is a front drive like a wheel car. We may put the big wheels on the front.
Oh god.
This
Thing
game cannot,
loves to
Reggie. If
drive.
this game had crashing physics, you would not last.
I am handbraking a sec.
Okay,
This
stop on
is-
that one. Stop on that one. We'll see if there's a seat. Because
I
there's
am stopping as much as I can right now.
Okay, okay. Oh, there you go. I mean, if you're not moving, it turns pretty well.
If I'm going at a lower speed, yes.
Okay, stop here. Yeah, whenever you want.
Oh, that's timing.
Nice. Fucking... I hate the seatbelts. You can turn off the car, you know that, right?
You can turn off the car. There's a diesel engine over here.
No, this one's fine. It just needs more water. It just needs more water. Yeah, he didn't. I forgot to check the water. I want to try and find the... Oh, wait, I found the double seat. Maybe this works.
I'm going gambling. Chat, we're gambling.
It's okay, we can gamble. I'll fix this. Yeah, there we go. I found the seat. We have more seats now. Can you press...
again, yeah.
Can you press M or whatever? Fella?
I'm trying to gamble.
Fine. There you go. There's seats on the back now.
I have arrived.
Okay.
We can actually do this. Oh wait, what do we have here?
Come on. Come on, spin to win, baby. Spin to win.
I found the same engine we have, but like better.
Come on.
It's cleaner. Just hit the gambling machine.
Come on.
I'm out here working, man.
You think I'm not putting in the hours here? What the fuck?
To be honest, you actually carried us on the repo by just gambling, so...
This is true. Fucking...
Chat, you wanna know what I heard about gambling? You only lose...
99% of gamblers give up before getting their big win. So...
I was gonna say you only lose when you stop, but sure.
Yep.
Wait, this engine is different. Do we have more engine oil? Is this a better engine?
Damn it, come on. This one, please, Bell. Fucking scammer. Why is there
this a diesel engine
in this bathroom?
Oh, it's a diesel engine. Fuck. Never mind.
What is this bathroom? Oh, there's a piss corner. Hi, Zelda.
We'll put it on the back. We're gonna.
What's that?
This is the backup engine.
Oh, don't pee on me.
I'm peeing up on the top.
Okay, we need oil. Do we have oil?
Okay, top toilet. Okay.
Why do you guys like being weird together?
We're peeing together. You're missing out.
Oh, I just peed myself. It's fine.
All right.
We need more water. We cannot drive with this. We need water. You will break down really fast.
Well, okay. So is there water?
I'm trying to find it. No.
Here, it's like right here.
It's a giant barrel of water. Okay.
I mean, I don't know how any of this works. So, am I just pouring it on top of the car?
No. Okay. I'll show you. Just drag yourself here. Where's the radio go on this car? So you open the radiator, and no, don't it! You're wasting it.
I'm not.
No.
What? Oh, shit! It went upside down.
Don't put it on the engine. Put it on the radiator. What the fuck?
I didn't mean to. First off, I didn't even fucking tilt it.
And now just aim.
I fucking.
Just aim at the radiator right here.
How do I aim? How do I?
Go.
Oh god, there. That's what I was trying to fucking figure out. All right, am I fit? Okay, there we go.
Now we just have a little bit of gas in there. That's fine. Or a little bit of water.
I mean, we have like 2% water on the engine. That's fine. Do we have engine oil?
It'll steam off.
That's
It's fine.
We'll burn it off. I want to take the goat. Look, it's your license plate.
We should get one of those like car edits on this. Just they're like spinning around and zooming in.
With like the funk song.
This is how an angel cries.
Wow.
I blame it on AGG, baby.
On it too.
I'm gonna put the wheel on the back because I don't trust that wheel, just in case. All right, I'm ready, and we have music now. There's space for Zelda. We don't need to leave him. Okay.
I thought Zelda was in the car. Sorry.
No, he's not. Oh, whoa!
I don't know how I'm doing donuts. I wasn't trying to.
Okay, okay, hold on. I have an idea. Stop. Oh. Okay, stop. I'm gonna make the car more grippy.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
You gotta trust me on this one. Can you not sexdoll the car?
I mean, I could, but
what about asymmetric wheels? Alright, see if it goes better now.
Here. Oh my god, my head's through the ceiling.
Is it done better?
Yep.
See? Bomboclat radio, let's go.
Oh, I am.
You're drifting.
A lot more slidey though.
You're drifting.
I am a lot more slidey.
Okay, maybe we don't do that. We lost a wheel.
I'm good.
I have an idea. I have another idea. The
We
problem
put
is
normal wheels on this fucking thing.
no. The problem is we have too much. The wheels are too big for the front and too big for the back. But if we do this,
but one each. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's balanced.
Yeah, that's exactly how this works.
You just gotta make sure you make your left turn.
Yep.
A little bit less than your right turn.
Okay. No, another idea. This is one of them is gonna work. How about front wheels only?
Yeah. Okay. No back wheels.
Yeah. Just aim.
That was physics of this does not make sense right now.
Is it working?
I'm still sliding every fucking way.
I love the music. The music in the car. This is amazing.
I don't know what it is because currently I'm listening to ABBA's Tambourine, oh yeah.
Okay, can you turn on the music for a bit? It's amazing.
Okay, hold up.
It fits with the team. It fits with the team. Go.
Jesus, high metal working. Oh.
So wheels on the back, I guess.
Oh. I just
It
did
does.
a sick flip.
It does.
Let's go back to what we had. Oh, the steering wheel has gone somewhere.
Yeah, it went that way.
Why is the car moving so much?
What does that way mean?
It went this way.
Oh, I got a backup steering wheel. I was prepared for this. Look.
I'm doing well now. How are you?
All right, you got it. Then we're good.
I was prepared. Look, why do we have a beam on the car?
Oh my god! What the fuck?
Hold on. Why do we have like a
car horn?
Okay, who got the bumper and shoved it in like the front seat? I like Bumbleclad radio.
I feel like I should go slow.
Nah, send it.
Listen, I have done a good job of driving so far, and ever since we went with the car you built,
I was gonna say the original shitty car is so much better.
So the answer is don't turn.
We did 20 kilometers in 5 meters, and now in 5 minutes. Now we did 28.
Are we only at 28?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
The other car is so much better. Okay, weight loss.
It's not about weight loss, it's about getting new tires.
It worked last time. You don't need a real view mirror, like.
Oh, I can't turn. I've got to.
Just go for. Oh, this is a canyon. Shit. Oh god. Oh. Hey.
Whoa.
Okay, go left. Right. I mean right. Okay. You're having a shit rev bombing the desert. Meow.
Try to get back to the road.
It's on the right.
I'm aware.
Wow.
But guess what? It doesn't like turning right.
Just go slower then. Okay, this car needs to
I love that I said I should go slower, and then someone was like, "No, full send it." And
No,
then
no,
it's
okay,
like,
okay.
Why we not? Why?
No, this card is a new technique. You basically turn 90-degree angles and then you send it forward. So you just go like in like straights, and then you turn and then you send it. You serious? That like tree stop does?
Tiny tree.
Yeah. Oh, I see the road on the left. I think it's Zelda's fault. It's on the right seat, so it's unbalancing the car.
It is. It's
okay, no, stop. Do a 90-degree angle. Aim where you want to go, and then just send it.
I'll just lay down.
Yeah, lay down. This is the way.
Right.
Okay, now turn.
I have to handbrake turn every time in order to get any shit done.
Shit. If I found another, like 2 more big wheels, we'll put it, because we need balance. It's the big wheels. It looks like a Volkswagen Polo that people on Portugal will
next stop.
Next stop is right here. Grab the wheels.
Is the steering wheel still on, or is that gone? No, it's still here.
I mean, the car doesn't turn anyway, so like, whatever. Maybe 1 big wheel is okay?
Yeah.
I like your voice, you're done.
Sorry.
You're like, fuck.
Just leave me behind.
Marley, why did you invite me to the team? This is...
I do love it.
There we go.
He was taking the fucking thing instead.
What if you try going backwards? Maybe it's like it's better.
I'm not taking any more advice from you.
I'm trying to give out solutions, okay?
What if we do a flip? I think that'll help us.
All right,
Well,
next time I get a chance to flip, I'll do it.
All right, perfect.
Is
like
the diesel
3
engine better?
I don't know. We don't have diesel. It looks better. It's a 4.5. Oh.
It's nice when the road doesn't have a turn on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What speed are we at?
Oh no. We are at, I don't know, because I can see. Oh, look, a turn.
Just a slight
Slight
turn to the right.
Game's like slight turn to the right, makes you go left.
Oh no, the car. Well, it's
Oh no! Oh no!
Wait, Zelda is in it. We can pick us up.
Please say it's in one piece. Please say it's in one piece.
It's definitely smoking a little bit.
It's okay.
Well,
Zelda is in the car. You can pick us up.
Just press M. It's not going anywhere.
Nah, I'm not cheating.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
fuck. Oh, that is bad. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Hold on.
I can't get out of the car.
Someone left the oil open. Oh yeah,
you
there's
built it.
we are burning water. Do we have water? Pee on the Zelda. Wait, hold on. Maybe I can pee on the car.
Thank
It's
you.
really hard to aim, man. Okay. We should just wait a bit, I guess, and then just keep going.
I mean, we have another engine, don't we?
Yeah, we don't have its diesel. We have diesel. We don't have anything.
That's fine. I turned it off.
Ah,
And
let's
on
go.
again.
Yeah, turn it on and off. It's better.
Oh, we're out of water.
And it goes for a bit. There's a stop on the near the road. We'll turn off the radio. There's a house. If you go, oh yeah, right there. You can see it on the in front of us.
If this thing starts. Bye, Steve.
Okay, go. Keep going. Yeah, right there. Keep going. Yeah, on the right. I think there's a billboard. Yeah, stop at the billboard. Usually there's things.
Alright, you guys.
We can do this. We can do this.
Deal with this. I got a work request.
You're gonna leave?
Okey-doke. Bye, Zelda.
Bye
Love you.
bye.
I'm
Thank
still
you
here.
for.
I'm just chilling in the back.
Okay.
I'll just be hanging out in the back.
Bardik,
Okay.
you've been so nice to me. I have a gift for you. I found the fixed welder issues.
Oh, fuck me.
There you go.
This is not gonna go.
Where else do we have?
A total well. Do we have water?
I am trying to find. I have found alcohol.
Battery. What's this? So, petrol, diesel, drunk piss.
I mean, maybe it will work.
Petrol. It's petrol, diesel, and drunk piss. It's not gonna work.
I mean, it's liquid. Can cool down a bit.
Wait, I mean, doesn't that mean that we can just empty one of these out and piss into it?
Oh, yeah. I'm taking the backup wheel just in case it doesn't work. Hi, Phoenix.
Nothing happened.
Good job. The thing is, we don't even have. I mean, this game is all fucked. We have water engine and petrol on the engine. We have water, petrol, and drunk piece on the radiator. I mean, liquid is liquid, so I think it'll work.
Liquid is liquid.
I found alcohol. Do you want an alcohol bottle? I'm doing well. How easy? All right, there's another stop like in front of us, really close. We can just stop there.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Oh,
the piece right. Oh, let's go. Cat, it's your turn to drive.
How do I get out?
It's your turn to. Oh, I really need to drink though. Is it working?
Are you peeing?
No, something is raining.
I might pee. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, see? It turns better, right? No, it doesn't.
All I'm doing is pressing A right now. It turns very good, right? Which was our problem earlier.
I mean, there's a stop on the right, so that's a good sign.
Peeing?
Okay, stop here, stop here. No, I'm not. Oh, that's a cool car. Nice. Something is draining. Okay, tell me you have wheels.
I think we should switch to that car, I'm not gonna lie.
This car, but it's a Volkswagen. You think it's gonna be more stable?
Probably.
I don't know, Chad. Chad, me. Chad, I don't know,
nice.
Chad.
It is more piss themed as well.
You know what? You sold me with that. We're going in a piece car. The only problem is we still don't have. Okay, yes. Oh, he already has petrol and everything. Already ready for us.
What's this?
Oh, and it has a radiator with water. Okay, 7. Just gonna keep the original one.
Utilization 0 at. Okay. Gotcha.
Baga baga. Oh yeah, longer wheelbase equals more like nice. Yeah, that's true. I keep forgetting about that.
I hate this.
Petrol. There's a lot of petrol. Just balance the wheels as best as you can. We'll figure this out. Shorter wheelbase is better for turn rate. Well, we have proof that it's. Chat is saying our car turns better. Technically.
What is leaking?
I don't know. Just leave it there. Just leave it on that car. Fuck it.
It's the petrol out of the car.
Was it open? Oh god. Oh, it's a UK car too.
Okay, there. I'm gonna do it like that, and then you can put your big monster tire in the back.
Okay. Fine. Just in case. There you go.
Okay, listen. We're not cops, but we are doing the bit of like we've got like the detective car now.
Petrol. Oh, this is a door lining.
Does it
I don't
have
like how door lining.
Yes, it does.
It does. The back seat needs to be the double seat. Does it have a double seat? Yeah, it needs to be the double seat.
Oh wait, do we have a double?
Yeah, we do. Zalor is sitting on it.
Are they strapped in?
Yeah, we can just leave him.
I'm
I
good.
can't
I'm
detach
here.
it.
Let me,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm sorry, I'm not bullying you. I don't know why I'm doing this. You're nice.
do it. Do it.
Did we switch the pedals, Roderick?
Oh, sorry, 1 sec. What is
Oh
that?
no, he didn't switch the pedals. Car pedals.
No, I
We
haven't
need
done
them.
that yet. Dragon Hunter, hello.
What the fuck did you stick? Oh, the floor.
Floor.
Oh, you can take the seat belts. Do we take the seat belts?
I really should use them. So,
Why? Test.
with how everything has gone so far with this, yeah, I'm gonna try. How do I get them in? Where are they meant to attach in this car?
On the seatbelt place.
Where's the seatbelt place?
I don't know.
Not in this car. Like, it's fucking not. I can't. I'm trying to attach it. It's not attaching.
Usually it's at the bottom, like near the seat. Yeah, there. Can I have it? Thank you. You just dropped it. Oh. I don't think you can. Maybe it's because it's not the original seats.
Yeah, I'm not crazy.
Crazy?
I was crazy once.
You lock me in a room.
Okay, are we good? Do we have? Is there anything around here that we should probably fill it up with?
I was saying, I'm trying to see. I filled it up.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if there's more things to drink because I am very dehydrated. Good night, Felix. Sorry. You saying? Oh, there's engine oil. Engine oil. Engine oil. On engine oil. Engine oil. Engine oil. We can get rid of the piss.
I'm peeing. Sorry, I'm busy.
There we go. And we am saving this engine now.
There's a megaphone.
I don't
over there?
think this car is made for your height. And car battery. Actually, I think this car battery is better. Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, you can speak in that in game and it's very loud. Like, wah. Alright, I'm ready.
What's the button for?
It's the TTS button, I don't know.
Hello.
Oh.
Is it loud?
Yes.
Is it loud, Snowy?
Make it louder in Discord, but it has like that loud effect, you know?
Okay.
Is it loud? Alright, let's see if the did you forget the handbrake? Oh, there you go.
Where's Aldar gone?
He's on the back seat.
Oh, I'm not seeing them again. That's why.
This looks more stable, right?
Yes. It's definitely got like some weight issue.
We blew up a tire. We blew up the tire. Wait, we have a replacement. We have a replacement. What? What did you just hit?
We hit a speed bump.
Okay, stop, stop.
Of all fucking music to start playing on the radio too.
It's okay. Quick, Formula 1. Look. Done. There you go.
Didn't even have to stop.
Nothing happened. Tires blow up. Okay, that's good to know. Nailed it.
Can you close your door?
Well, I'm on the back seat by accident. I can see. My head is like, oh, my head is outside the car. Well, let me switch really quickly.
I'm also gonna turn the fucking music down because I actually don't like the music of this game.
You can change some of my music.
I want to listen to ABBA.
Meow, meow, meow. I'm pretty sure if we had the old car, we would have progressed way more.
Where are we at now? Like 34?
37.
Okay, a little further. Alright, I want to get to 50 ASAP. I'm not stopping until we hit 50, okay?
Okay. Like now, though? Or the... Okay, seatbelts, they worked.
Well, I don't have mine on.
Okay, let's maybe stop here, see if we can get more wheels.
Yeah, maybe we should go back to normal wheels.
Oh, there's zombies. There's zombies. There's zombies. There. Go, 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 go. Never mind.
Suddenly zombies?
I don't fucking know. Just go.
You just gotta punch them a bunch.
Thank you very much for the first time sub. Let's go.
Oh my god.
We're just 60 subs away from me having to get the long egg machine.
Oh fuck! I forgot about that. I need. How do you make a long egg? Does it split into two parts?
It's just a machine that turns it into.
Okay, but like, thank you so much.
I don't know what you mean.
How does the long egg machine work? I mean, it's a long egg machine. It just makes long eggs.
You crack an egg open, you put the egg into it, it starts cooking it, and it pushes it out, kind of like a poo. All right, and it becomes
like,
a long egg.
Isn't like the yellow part of the egg in the middle, and then like how does it like connect?
I'm not a magician, nor a scientist.
I have to know how the long egg works.
Then Google it.
It reminded me like the last time I talked like this with chat, it was like I didn't know what ranch sauce was, like ranch sauce. And I was like, chat, what is ranch sauce? And they're like, oh, it's ranch. I'm like, okay, fuck you. Thank you. Hey, thank you so much, Gibby.
Thank you.
Are you trying to stay in like lane or?
I am honestly trying my best.
Okay,
these wheels suck. These wheels suck.
We'll
so
find
bad,
new wheels.
Also, we did so much better. It's the twin turbos that are spoiling these tires. That's the problem.
No, I only have one. We don't have two yet.
Well, the turbo, nonetheless, is ruined.
Oh fuck! The other engine. I forgot about. God damn it! I forgot the other turbo on the other car. Man.
I like that we went further when we were slow.
Hey, thank you for
Did you wash your ass today?
I think, right? It's up to you. Yes.
Yeah, I
maybe.
got one. I got one.
We should have like an event if someone subs to everyone on the stream. Oh, I stop here. I'm like desperate for tires. Oh, I think I see tires.
They better not be big ones.
I think they're small. Oh, and a backpack. That's kind of useful. Okay, there's water, and there's like drinking fingers. Okay, this is a good stop. This is a good stop. There's oh, there's one tire. Oh no. Yeah. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. So if I take the big tire, and then I detach the big tire, and then I put the small tire. What the fuck just happened?
Jesus, I stood on a grenade.
Well, what are you doing?
Ouch. Okay,
I'm scared of moving.
There are landmines everywhere. All right. Oh no, the car flipped over.
Yeah, you exploded it. And we lost all the wheels. The car has no fucking wheels. Well, I got food.
What's Aldo's doing in the car?
It's fine.
I'm just chilling, you know. I'm good.
All right, let's how do I add the wheels back on?
Just plop it.
Oh wait, why did it come off the fucking thing?
I'm like struggling for water. Did you just throw a wheel at me? What are you doing?
I'm trying to put this back. Everything is fucking up. Where did that go? I hate this. I'm gonna sit over here and cry. I'm just gonna. I'm not gonna get involved anymore because clearly I'm cursed right now.
It's okay. We just need to find two wheels.
We came here looking for two wheels, and we are leaving with less stuff on our car.
We have one wheel. Okay, there's another one here. There's another one here. Oh no, there's wheels, but there's no like tire thingies. The rims. Oh, I found one. Found one.
Okay, can this not go on there? Oh, there we go.
I mean, two wheels are fine, right?
I mean, what fucking started farting?
There you go. We have fur, right? Yeah, look at that.
All right, can we try and find where the doors went?
There's one here. Does it fit? Nope.
How did this happen? Where, see, the binoculars would be useful right now. I'm too scared that I'm gonna step on another fucking mine, I swear to God.
They're like really visible, by the way. I don't know why you step on the mine.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Okay, I step on this and then grab it. Oh, okay.
Engine oil.
Well,
I don't think we can do any much more. We can like go.
so we've lost everything, right?
No, we have 4 wheels.
We have three tires. We have 3 wheels.
No, 4, right?
No, we're missing one in the front. Oh no, oh yeah,
no,
we do.
That's 2.
Okay. Are you driving?
Oh, fuck, it's a UK car. God damn it.
And also the steering wheel is missing.
Ah, that may be a problem.
Maybe.
Okay. I have an idea. I don't have an idea. Where's the next stop? Oh, okay. Actual idea. We take the wheels off the side we want to turn. So like we're gonna go right. Okay, go. So go forward a bit. It should. Oh wait, no. Wait, wrong side. Wait, no. Okay, so we want wheels on the side we're turning, right? Let me just.
Yeah.
Alright, right now.
You forgot what kind of turn.
Fuck. Hold on, stop. Do you have brakes? Okay, turn off.
It's the front left you need to get rid of.
Fucking. There.
Did you take off the front left?
Yeah. Oh, I just said it, and we'll find something like eventually.
We're heading back if by going this way. What the fuck?
Just go back. Yeah, just go back. Oh, it's something. That's good enough for me.
Alright, drivers. Today's challenge: get to the nearest gas station driving only in.
I've already got a blast. Fucking.
No steering wheel. Oh, Zelda is fucked.
Zelda was in the car earlier, so should be able to still press M if they're not in the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of working, right?
Honestly, what should have happened is you should have just walked ahead.
No, this is fine.
I think it really is not.
Just go backwards. There you go. Now it flips, and I can go forward. There you go. This is a perfectly sane plan. Meow, 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 meow. Okay. Oh my god, there's like nothing for miles. How did you manage to go away with less tires than you arrived? We got rid of the big one. Stability. We arrived with a full car. We left without a wheel. I don't see any stops for like ages.
I'm gonna go very slow, but apparently I'm also like dying of thirst, so.
I can pee. Can I put anything on the steering wheel, like at all? Like a wheel? Can I put the wheel on? No, I can't.
Can you check over there to the left?
I don't see anything. Like, over the mountain?
No, like whether it's like this, like. You know, I'm gonna get.
This is called Beyond Horizons. It's a driving game, like the long drive.
Yeah. There's like a bunker down. It's like a pool. What the fuck?
A pool? Oh, pool has things. The pool has things.
Yeah,
Steering wheel? No steering wheel. The steering wheel and the place at the front wheel. I mean, there's a tire. Like a tiny tire. There are no steering wheels at all here? Anything?
I'm not surprised.
I bet.
Is there any drinks?
One right here behind you. Nope.
Okay.
I forgot where the car is. Okay, over there. I mean, I found the tire. I could probably use it. Eventually. Eventually. I'm gonna put on an engine.
Okay.
Oh my
we
god.
are in a bit of...
You keep driving because you got this nailed.
Oh.
Oh, wrong, wrong seat.
Okay.
Oh. Wee. Ooh, stretch. Chat, how are you? Are you awake? Are you alive?
What's going on? Why can't I move? Oh, there we go.
No.
Oh, your tire was giving me issues.
Oh, come on, my tire. Fuck's sake. No.
Right,
did you die? Why did you die, chat? Meow, 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 meow. Okay. We can go from pole to pole. That's a good technique. Instead of going to bed, honestly, same. I gotta work tomorrow again. You have that feeling, man, at least in my line of work. Like, you have to go to work almost every day, except weekends, right? And I'm like, it looks like too much. I don't have enough shit to do for a week, man. I can finish it like really fast, and I'm like, okay, now what? I just stare at my screen and like watch YouTube videos. Do some music.
I am a professional.
Honestly, you're doing way better than I'm expecting. I like that we got super lucky and we have like nothing for my... I don't see anything. Be another pool.
Alright, hold it.
Hubba hubba hubba. Oh, that was too much.
No, it's fine.
What's the plan here? What's the plan here? Is it gonna turn slightly?
Hold it.
Why, fuck it. If we die, we die.
There we go.
Crappuccino, I love your name. Hi. Oh yeah, Bardi, you know the story about my leap motion?
What happened?
So I have the IR 170, like the dev kit thingy, and I always thought it sucked ass. But when I was hearing good stuff setting up, I saw the preview of the camera. My black... why are you laughing? You're racist. What the fuck?
Who's laughing?
No.
I just said black.
Oh.
Good, he stole my face. He stole my face. He stole my face. Ah. So, my black mousepad, the big mousepad, the table mousepad, reflects my skin tone on the IR camera. So whenever I put my arm on my mouse, it turns invisible. So I only have one hand working.
Well, why?
The quote? Listen, it's a color, it's not racism. Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. Double dogs just fall. Dogs, you just fall, Bardic. How dare you?
Oh, thank you.
That's my editor. It does nice. It does nice videos. Are you struggling, or is the car struggling?
I'm using the handbrake to correct the turn. As I've discovered, the handbrake makes me turn left, so I can go faster.
I think I would have just given up. I respect. Respect for
Oh,
Bardic.
you should have seen the Euro Truck Simulator streams.
Oh, there's a thing on the left. Thing on the left.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Don't go directly at it. Okay, fuck it. We're bolting. I'm walking.
The giant rock vanished when you... There's a giant rock in the way where you walked over. And then it vanished.
I have bad news. I don't think there's any steering wheels. Maybe inside. Nope. Can you like not? Okay. Don't tell me there's no steering wheel. Oh!
If I what?
On the sex room, there was a fucking steering wheel.
Bless you.
Damn.
He says.
There we go. Alright, let's see if there's wheels, actual wheels.
That is a pirate fucking one.
Yeah, it's the best steering wheel even.
Do we not have a steering wheel like to put like a tire back on?
No, that's what I'm trying to find. From the radiator.
I thought you put it in the truck or something. In the back, I mean.
It was in the back. Well, it wasn't there. Get freaks, no, but you do it then. Okay, at least we actually have a good intercooler. We're going on a trip on a little rocket ship going through the sky. In the night. I'm desperately trying to find a wheel, but I don't see anything. Like a car wheel. Oh! Fuck, it's just a tire. The second tire I find without anything.
Well, maybe we can find the thing for it.
Just add it to the collection. There you go. I mean, I know there's stuff on the roof, but you need trampolines to get there. I don't think you can just jump or glitch or whatever. Oh no, we can Gary's mod. Hold on. The collide. Fuck.
There we go.
Or maybe on the garbage. Oh no, there's a wheel right here. Found it.
Hog. I was waiting for it. Of course.
There you go.
Oh, I thought it was a giant one from a distance there.
No, it's not.
Hello, we're all good. If you
I know I hit the second tire. What the fuck? Honk. Bardic, please don't tell me that this just happened. Please tell me what I think happened. This just happened. Please tell me you didn't. Oh my. Well, that was a nice stream today, chat.
Just press N a bunch, and Snowy run into the front of it.
Press what?
Press N a whole bunch while you're in the car.
Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. You know, okay, so I fucked up. I pressed M there.
What if we take the wheels off? Maybe.
Yeah, take one wheel off, yeah.
Boys, maybe I can shoot the thing and it will explode it off.
Take the back.
Blow everything off of the car.
Take the front wheel
It's
off,
a real wheel drive. You can't take the. Oh.
No, it's front wheel.
No, it's real wheel drive.
I got it. We're gonna be fine.
Oh yeah, but leave. Oh, okay. I see.
Oh, do I get out?
Yep.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, this is gonna go well.
Oh, it's not working.
Wait, hold on. I have an idea. There you go. There you go. Hey! Wrong seat. There you go.
Well,
no, better than expected.
This has been a fun trip so far.
We had 43.
Heading to 50 and then we're gonna close it, okay?
Yes. Good night, small clone. Go. I like my
Nice
chat
one.
saying. I think this is worse with 4 wheels. The problem is it's not balanced
We missed
anymore.
Lightning McQueen. Lightning McQueen was the vibe. There's a fire.
There's a fire? Oh, it's a campfire.
Because I want it. What the hell is making that racket?
I'm
Oh
doing
my
weight.
God.
I'm doing like weight loss. There you go. It's faster now. Oh.
Okay, so bear in mind. Oh,
I think we need to balance the car.
how do I? Oh God.
We need to balance. We need to balance the wheels.
How do I get back into my body? Oh, there we go.
Oh, you have the thing again. Okay. We need to balance the wheels. Like which ones are the big ones? Maybe. I think this one should be at the front, and this one should be at the back. And actually, this is a bald tire, so we're just gonna like do this.
Can you fill up the engine oil and get rid of it if you're gonna do weight?
Oh, okay, let's go. I promise this is 100% better.
All right.
5 kilometers left. I'm sorry, kilometers.
It's so shaky. It's the tires.
It looks better. Stop here, maybe?
Miles.
I can't turn. What the fuck?
It's okay. The road turns, so you can just go forward. It turns slightly left.
We don't need turns.
Where we go? We don't need roads.
I like that you like stop, and then I was like, oh God.
I see the inflatable tube man. I'm gonna stop on an inflatable tube man.
We're so close.
I think Bardik is desperate to end. He's like, fuck.
No, it's not
so
that I'm
close.
desperate. I'm desperate to stay on the fucking road.
I mean, do you have any ideas?
I got the steering wheel.
All right, just fill up the car. We'll stop at the wacky waving inflatable tube man. And
Yes.
see what we can grab. All right. Chad, have you ever played this game with Snowy yet?
What?
Oh, don't.
We did it pretty well. What do you mean?
I got us to 20k, and then you wanted to add a turbo.
I mean, we switched the whole car, so I don't think it's the turbo's fault. Listen, in good news, there's a shit ton of tires, so we can match them. There you go. Look, just pick the ones that look similar.
I'm leaving you to that.
What do you mean? Help!
I gotta fucking drink. I gotta find something to drink.
Well, if you leave me to that, I saw there's 2 tires I really like here. 3 actually.
Oh God, they're really big, aren't they?
And 1. There's 2.
Then I'm making this car mine.
There's 3. There's more wheels here actually, like with the rims. Look, there's 1.
How do you brush these things? Is it with like a brush?
Oh yeah, the metal brush. Look, there's a lot of options. If we leave here without the balanced car, we're just stupid. Shit ton of wheels. I'm just throwing everything there. A little beverage for the wheels. The hood fit? Yeah, it does. We'll make it fit. Look at that. That's perfect. You're gonna de-rust. Oh, engine oil, petrol, water piss.
There we go.
Ah, look, see. Oh, I like that. Okay, let me see. Fuck me. Okay. It's different. Fucking all the wheels are different. I don't think there's one similar wheel, not gonna lie. I mean, we can use the big, not the wheels, but we can use the This, whatever the fuck this is. Forgetting the name. At least it'll be the same size. Stripe wheel? Ah, but that's stripe wheel. Like that. Bro, I think all the wheels are fucking different. I'm not even joking. Okay, these two are the same. Why the fuck is everything different?
Alright, just get as close as possible.
Oh, wait, no. This is... Okay, this one. Yeah, okay. This one.
There's another one over here.
This one. And this one. On here. Okay, we have two the same wheels over here. And then we can use... And then we can use... This one.
So, where's the red? Where's the red? I just realized
this on this one, I think. Sorry, moving through. So there you go. The front wheels are the same and the back wheels are the same. I can't make them equal. It looks better, I think. I tried. I fucking tried. I tried.
If it's as close as you can get it, it's fine. Alright.
Shiny.
Getting in.
Fingers crossed.
Alright. Oh, bye Zella, sorry. I gotta really start checking if you've gotten in instead of just looking behind me.
Do you not see his name?
Just leaving me behind. I see how it is.
You're so often invisible in the back seat.
Alright, moment of truth. Test it.
I'm flooring it, I'm only pressing W.
Okay, slight turn. Oh. Okay.
Yep, that's fine.
I did a good job. Nice. I'm impressed.
Oh, we're back at speed. Oh, we're back up to lightning McQueen speed.
It's turning.
Every track in the game is created by Ockets, our producer,
Ooh.
sound designer,
Okay, that's...
I'll say it again. Everything
It's okay, it will stabilize.
If you encounter any
It will stabilize eventually.
feel free to join our Discord
I think.
and share your thoughts with him.
Tip over again.
Okay, if we can slide the last 2 kilometers, we will do that.
Well,
You know,
they still.
fine.
There you go.
There we go.
It is better.
Which way did we come from? Was it this
There,
way?
yeah, left.
Yeah, thought so. These fucking tiny
the
trees,
one
man.
solid tree in the entire world.
Also, has anyone got a drink? I'm now officially starting to die.
Mardik.
Oh, have I got like a tree in me? Do I have a cactus in me or something?
We lost the steering wheel.
Oh no.
Why am I dying?
You're probably thirsty. Wait, I'm peeing. Come here. I'm peeing. Crouch. Does it work?
I don't think it works like that.
We can finish this journey for you in like memory.
No. Oh, we can't even like.
Go. Just
No,
go,
wait, the steering wheel's in the back of the car, you idiot.
What?
Oh, well, here. Also, Bardic, here, take this.
Oh yeah, take the healing thingy.
Okay. See, get out. Yep.
There you go.
Will this give me like liquids as well, or?
No,
is
but
it...
it'll
No,
heal
it's
you
health.
to save it until your health is low.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, get it.
Alright, we're almost there. We got 2 left.
What?
I realized like the counter goes
stop.
down.
If there is a stop.
You wanna stop?
Yeah, just to get a drink.
I think we should send it.
Come on. You know, fine. For the content.
For the content! Alright, 1 left. Oh no.
Oh no! Oh, please say the steering wheel's still on.
We need to start getting back up. Oh, there's a wheel missing. The steering wheel is there though. Anyone see a wheel?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wait, can I drink cactuses in the out here?
No. Nope.
No.
I mean, oh wait, buddy. Okay,
What?
I know this sounds. The radiator has 10 liters. You can drink a little bit. There you go. Just drink straight.
How do I do that?
Okay, so you flip it and then open it, and then just look up.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Is the car here for you? You're dismantling the car for me. The car is not here.
Can you?
I just gave you the radiator.
Oh.
Oh, okay, now it's here for me. Okay, it's fixed.
Okay.
Zelda has the radiator.
And yeah, got it.
Just no. Okay. Don't drink everything. Did it work?
Yes.
We will love boiling radiator water. There you go. Let's go.
Is it closed?
That's totally. Oh my god.
It was open.
Okay, we can do this.
I really like how many haircuts I've gotten with cars flipping today.
Yeah, right.
Look at your head. You can see the road rush right there on the top.
Yeah, it's right up there.
I have one left.
Do you want to make it to 69?
Ah, no, fuck. I need to sleep. It's almost 1 a.m.
Okay.
Ignore it. Continue.
How do I put a seatbelt on? How do I put my seatbelt on?
We don't have seatbelts. But it's like 500 meters. It's right there.
We're so close.
I think switching to the Volkswagen Polo was a great idea. Not gonna lie.
It was the worst idea. It was such a bad idea.
But it's fun. Right, Chad?
Right.
Oh, you guys stole my head. You stole my head. You stole my head. There you go. Back. I'm back. Hi.
Come on. There, we did it. Did we do it?
Yeah. Yep.
Now just
So
drive off into the distance.
Just press W and fuck it.
Yeah, just hold W.
You gotta play the song, the Fast and Furious song. No, when I see you again.
Actually, wait, hold up. Oh, okay. Let me put a song on that I end stream to. So
okay, hold on.
So let me turn that up.
What's the song of the Fast and Furious? I forgot.
There you
It goes, oh, Fast and Furious.
We do have a problem. We don't have a steering wheel, but I think that's apt for what we're about to do.
Nah, fuck it. Chad, what's the Fast and Furious song? I keep forgetting.
Uh-oh.
That one that goes da 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 da. The one when the guy died and they did the whole scene.
I see you again. Charlie Puth.
There you go.
There we are.
There you go, chat. We got to the end. Oh fuck.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Switching back and forward on W and S.
From where we began.
Wait,
this is a nice trip.
I want to head towards the sun.
Towards the sun, yes. Just back into the sun, fuck it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's close enough.
I wish there was a cinematic camera mode.
We did it, boys.
We survived. Now we don't care anymore.
Did it.
Family.
Nobody cares.
Oh damn, that was a nice spin.
You're welcome. See, I know how to drive.
Just show them this video. Get your license right away.
Exactly.
Exactly. If I can be trusted to do this, then I should have a license.
Oh, here comes the part. Here comes the part.
Oh, Oh, another good.
Oh. How is this working? We're losing kilometers, bro. Oh.
Okay, that's a good. I think that's a good place to end.
Oh, my arms.
Oh my God, that was great. Oh no!
Fuck you!
Wait, don't forget about me.
It's my car! Oh, can I kill myself now?
Chance last chance, stuck in the middle, even bad girls.
I suffered too long with you, I'm sorry.
I thought this was about family.
I just realized I ruined the save. If you ever want to come back, I can revive you. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, can I kill myself now? Me turning 16. Jesus. All right.
How do you want to do this? I'm gonna end now. So if you're streaming, I can raid you, or we can find someone. Okay, yeah. Let's find a victim.
You could just raid me. I'm not streaming, but you could just raid me if you wanted.
I would. Wait, is Nugget still streaming? Nugget was streaming earlier. I imagine they might have ended by now because of the country they live in. No.
I mean, there's Raccoon Cat, there's PewDiePie.
PewDiePie? Imagine.
Oh, it's Hiro Korgi's birthday. Do you like him? You can say no, it's fine.
Sorry, no, what? No, I didn't even hear what you said.
It's Hiro Korgi's birthday, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, let me watch. She probably. Oh, they're sleeping. Never mind. They're sleeping.
Oh, they're sleeping. Yeah, no then. Yeah, I'm down to raid. Well, Sledge is also doing Wild Assault, which is what we're playing tomorrow with.
Probably not a good idea then.
Thing. So.
I just realized there's like no. Me?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
I can. Not for too long, but I can. A few hours.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Do you want to just do like the VR chat category and just write someone small?
Oh, you know that's fine. If you want to do that.
Palm Top Sebi streaming. She's nice. I don't know if you know her.
Who is?
This one. I just could put him out in chat.
Yeah, just fucking. If you can vouch for them, let's do it.
Yeah, I met them like in fuck, what's the Pittsburgh one? Androcon. They're nice.
How many people are watching them right now?
16.
Okay. Get wrecked, nerd is what I like to do in these situations.
You know what? That fits. Chat, copy the get wrecked nerd. So
I'm starting my raid, by the way, just as a heads up.
I'm gonna leave the call and we can say goodbyes and whatever.
Wait a second.
What? Huh?
Oh my god. I actually didn't start it. Did I start it in your chat?
No, I started in my chat.
Okay, hang on.
Copy the get wrecked nerd
I was
chat.
typing into your chat, the raid, oops.
Oh my god. I'm gonna leave the call and I'm gonna do the bye-byes and then yeah.
Bye-bye,
Thank you so much. Bye. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. I left them. Nice. We can stop the raid now and stream, but no, I'm joking. I'm joking. Chat, thank you so much for joining. We have some news. No, not news. But Friday, we're gonna do 2 You Laugh You Loses back to back. We're gonna do with Rael Friday and with Wolfie rematch on Saturday. And it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be like a dual stream. You Laugh You Lose and normal VR shot. I love you, chat. Thank you so much for joining. This was fun. I like doing these stupid sims on Tuesday. I don't know what to say. Beans, I'm gonna sleep. It's late. I work tomorrow. Goodbye. Love you. Thank you so much for joining.